So I have hit the start streaming button. So that should be popping up in a second. We should be live. Everyone in the chat, let me know how my volume works, because I'm terrible with machinery. But I am here with Boogie 2988.
Hi, Rags.
Hello, hello. We haven't actually talked much before, a little bit before, very briefly on Twitter, but here we are nearly at the end of 2017, and gosh, so much is going on in video games and in the communities.
What a shit show, huh?
Oh my God, you thought every time, every 2015, 2016, every year we say, it's fucking terrible. Sure enough, the next year comes around and it's like, there's no way it could be worse.
I'll tell you, I got a funny story for you, man. So my wife this last year wanted to throw an election party. And I'm like, you think there's going to be something to celebrate that night?
Yeah.
I'm like, which one of these monsters winning do you think is the good thing? I don't know what you're talking about. But she's like, well, I'd like to have everybody over to watch the returns. And if it does go badly, and I'm like, well, it's going to. And she's just like, well, you know Trump's not going to win. At least it's the lesser of two evils. I'm like, I don't think so. And I've been following the election for months and months and months. My wife, God love her, did not pay that close attention. But I knew as soon as Bernie Sanders was mathematically eliminated that a lot of the Bernie bros, me being one of them, I knew for sure many of them would go Trump. Because a lot of people that were voting for Bernie didn't really care about like this socialistic platform, the healthcare and stuff like that. What they cared about was how different he was from the norm.
Yeah,
and
they wanted an outsider. They wanted someone who wasn't, part of the machine. But it was strange to watch all that play out. I mean, I voted for Trump, but that's, hell, not great choices I had.
I voted for fucking Jill Stein because I knew my county would go for Trump and I knew my state would go for Trump. And like my wife's like, you should make the ceremonious choice and vote for Clinton. And I'm like,
ceremonious.
Yeah, no, that like the sacrificial vote is to vote third party. Like the only way I can have an impact at all in this election in this county is to vote for a third party in the hopes that they can get funding in the state, which of course we didn't reach the threshold. But I was like, all right, well, let's pick a third party. Who's the third? Jill Stein. She's the most likely to get the most votes in Arkansas. So whatever, click. I was there to mostly vote for legal weed in the state, which I don't.
It's so close. The next time it comes around, it's gonna be.
Well, it did pass in Arkansas, didn't it?
For the medical stuff, I think.
For the medical stuff, right. And, I mean, at least we got that.
Yeah, just recreationally. Right. I mean, I went to Colorado last year. We went to Silverton and Durango and all that. And up in Silverton, they had a little dispensary, a little weed shop. And I was like, This is so new. It's like, guys, you don't understand how new this is to me. Like, I'm from Arkansas. This is just not a thing that happens. This just doesn't exist.
For me, like, I don't partake at all. I've tried it, and I just don't like it. I'm such a control freak with my brain, and just, like, any drugs I have to take, I despise them. Like, I take tramadol right now, and that's the opioid equivalent of aspirin, But it helps with the back pain and it helps with the knee pain a little bit. Like, it knocks 10% off, right? Enough where I can get back up and get on my feet and move around. And I despise taking it. But they had me on that. After that gastric bypass surgery, they gave me just a big stack of Oxycontin. And you'd think I would just be having the best time of my life. It was the worst time of my life. I despise it. I despise it.
I've never been big into the herb, partaking in the devil's lettuce.
Right.
But I bought some and I brought them back to Arkansas. It's not illegal or anything, right?
Right.
I brought some.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. The story goes, legend has it, that I tried it in my house and it was okay. I mean, I almost was like, is this it? They were edibles though, so I don't know if maybe
I've done edibles once.
Tolerance for it, or
I did edibles once and I smoked once. And according to my friends who gave me that stuff back in the time. This is me experimenting when I was like 30. It's like 15 years ago. I guess it was about like probably 2005, 2006. Yeah. I tried smoking it once and I just didn't. I don't have the lungs to smoke. Like my lungs are ruined. So it was even difficult to do that. And I just barely felt anything. And what I did feel was just kind of like slow and dumb. And it just didn't like appeal to me. And then I did edibles, and edibles, I ate a lot apparently. Like they were, because I'm a hungry guy. I was back then. I'm pre-surgery. I could barely fit in 4 ounces of food, but so I ate everything they gave me all at once, basically. And all it did was just make me feel like mellow and tired and dumb. And like everything was super funny.
It wasn't anything. It was just like, okay, I mean, was that it? But I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe I just need to smoke more hardcore.
Right.
Maybe
and I
that's
think
my problem.
I think the other thing is a lot of people tell me your first time you probably won't feel much of anything.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was so.
I don't know what that is. That's so weird. I don't know why that is.
You'd think it'd be the opposite. You'd think the first time it'd be the most impactful, but I suppose not. But what do I know about the drugs?
Right. It's the funny thing is about like with weed too. A lot of my friends use, like, not of my close friends, but a lot of friends I've known through like the magic community throughout the years and the gaming community. You know, and like I think there's like 3 types of people who smoke weed, right? I think there's like the casual user, just like smokes a couple times a month or maybe a couple times a week, and it just doesn't really. It's not even like part of his vocabulary. It's not part of his life. It's just a thing he does sometimes, right? And I think that's like most people who smoke weed. And then you get, you know, like I smoke it at a party or whatever, that kind of thing. Then you got people who are like all about it, right? And they some of them tend to like burn out sometimes, and they like don't really, or they're not able to do a lot with their lives, and they're not able to like do anything else, and most of their extra money goes to weed, and they, you know, they want to smoke weed rather than work. And so I do know a few people who like kind of burnt out because of it. But I also know a lot of people who use it medicinally or to like treat their anxiety disorders, or like there's one couple I know, which I obviously don't want to dox them here or anything like that, but they, you know, his wife had cancer, terminal cancer, and she was unable to eat. So he scored some here in Arkansas. And not only did he like, he lost his job with a reputable company here in the state because he had like one of those clauses where you're not allowed to get in any trouble, legal trouble or stuff. So he got fired from his job and prosecuted here in the state of Arkansas, all for getting enough weed for his wife to be able to keep down a few mills. It was miserable. But there's a lot of people I know who use it, and not only are they okay with using it, they're better for using it, you know?
That's what I hear, yeah. And I don't know much about it. I just, for my position on it has always been kind of the libertarian sort of, if you want to, I mean, go for it. If you want to, go for it.
Your body, your choice. Do whatever the hell you want. I'm not here to judge. I might talk about it in a YouTube video at some point, and I might not. I might share my personal opinion, which might be, it's not for me, you know. But I don't really give a shit what you do.
Yeah, it's not for me either. If they legalized it tomorrow, I probably would never take it again. I just don't care.
You know, I'm the son of an alcoholic, and for that reason, I do not drink. And I watch my family members, you know, have trouble with alcohol too, but they do pretty well with it. But obviously, I have an addictive personality, and you saw what I did with food. So I picked one vice. I fucked up with that one, so I'm not going to mess with any others. But I don't understand how alcohol is legal and weed isn't.
Yeah,
it just
that's what I
make
brought up with my
sense, man.
dad. I was like, listen, I mean, because my father's kind of a fairly older school conservative kind of type, and I was like, man, I mean, alcohol's legal, and so, you know, weed, I mean, you don't get addicted to it. I mean, it doesn't really mess with you. It's just not, it's like if we allow alcohol, you know, can you think of an actual reason why we don't allow, you know, marijuana? And he basically, his argument was pretty much, why would you add on to it? You know, why would you add on to the fact that, you know, if alcohol's bad, why would you add on weed to that? And he's like, okay.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, it's a complicated issue. But I've always been, I'm a fiscal conservative for the most part. I don't really like so much with the paying for bombs and wars and stuff, but I understand the necessary nature of that.
Yeah.
I would prefer, if we have to get taxed, and I guess we have to because they're not willingly going to revoke that unless it's for millionaires.
No, man.
Nobody in this chat's that, right?
It's got to be an ANCAP. You don't have to worry about taxes, man.
Everyone right.
Build their own roads.
That's right. Well, that's, you know, like if they're going to tax us anyway, that's what I want them to do with it. I want them to build roads. I want them to rebuild these crumbling infrastructure. I want them to fucking maybe send some kids to college, maybe send some fucking sick people into the OR to get fixed so they can go back to work and be taxpayers and stuff. That's what I want them to do with the money, but I prefer they left the money in everybody's pockets. That's my preference.
Because for those of you who don't know, we both live in Arkansas, which is a state, by the way. It exists. It is real. Try to find it on a map. We're kind of in the middle bit, but
I'm up in Northwest Arkansas. Don't forget, I'm up here in fucking Bentonville, Fayetteville area. So, and you're down near Little Rock, right?
Yes, I'm by Little Rock, and our roads are not great. We need more ANCAPs in Arkansas to build all of the new roads. So, come on down here and do that.
I'll tell you this, though, every time I travel, you know, the two places I tend to travel a lot, I tend to go to Texas for like cons and stuff, down to Dallas. Used to go down there for the strip clubs a lot when I was younger. And then I go to Michigan a lot. This is where my wife's family is. And every time we travel, either north or south, I think Arkansas has shitty roads until you hit like fucking Illinois, and you're just walking on this just crumbled.
I haven't been up there. Haven't been up that way.
Oh God, it's a nightmare. They got a lot of windmills up there too, which is really cool. Like I always, like you hear all this like anti-environmental stuff. Like, oh, windmills are loud. Well, no, I roll down the windows. I can't hear shit. Windmills are bad for the environment. I don't know.
I heard they kind of drive cows insane. Like there's some sort of a frequency or a drone that they make that makes the cows crazy. Like, yeah, I don't know.
That might very well be, but I'll tell you, every time I pass through those fields, I'm like, wow, that's just a marvel of human ingenuity. It's amazing. It looks gorgeous. I don't know. I don't think they're very efficient. That's the probably biggest complaint I hear, is they're not as efficient as they should be for the cost to create them and the environmental impact and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it. That's one of the biggest things I think with people misunderstanding me is they're like, oh, you're just trying to say the thing that pleases everyone. Well, here's the thing. When you try to do that, you please no one, ever. Like, you piss people off on the left, you piss people off on the right, you piss people who like the idea off, and then, so on and so forth. So, at the end of the day, like, I just try to say what I feel about stuff, and what I tend to feel about stuff is not much of anything. I'm not a very excitable person. I'm not a very, I'm like, I deal with pain and misery and all that bullshit. But when it comes to like really caring about something passionately, there's a handful of things like that. I care about my dog really passionately. I'm pretty one-sided there. I'm pretty one-sided when it comes to like...
Your dogs are pretty great. I mean,
like mental health. I'm a pretty one-sided when it comes to mental health. I'm pretty one-sided with everyone is pretty much equal, and we should treat everybody pretty much the same way we want to be treated. And even more importantly, sometimes the way they deserve to be treated, I think. If someone's being a ripe asshole, I think it's okay to at least ignore that person. But if they're making an effort, I think I think one of the ways I get in the biggest trouble is when, like, say the whole JonTron controversy, right? I keep referring to it because this is one of my favorite examples. Also, John doesn't mind me mentioning it. But when like John stuck his foot in his mouth and everybody's calling him a white nationalist and all this crazy shit, and my opinion is, well, John is considering those ideas, and at the end of the day, I don't know that he'll stay on those ideas, and I think he's redeemable, and he's a cool guy, and I like him as a friend.
Yeah, he never struck me, and I was never a JonTron fan. I didn't dislike him. I just never really. There's a lot of people I don't follow that are like really big YouTubers. I'm very particular about who I watch on YouTube. But I never had a dog in the race in terms of JonTron being good or bad. The first time I'd ever heard him was actually when Sargon had him on a live stream, and they were just chatting about things. So, I mean, it seemed to me that JonTron's just a really bad debater, and when he's live, it was really. It was hard for him to kind of get his thoughts and his ideas out there concisely. That's exactly what it is. I think I don't want to betray John's trust, but we've talked about that. And I think he's okay. I think he'd be comfortable when we're saying that that's exactly the situation. He went into it like completely unprepared. He just like, he's like, I'm going to just fire from the hip when I get in there. And you probably shouldn't do that with somebody like Destiny, because Destiny's very versed in this manipulative.
Stuff, right?
He's
right. Yeah. I wasn't going to say it that way, but
I think that I don't think Destiny's a good person.
Yeah, I don't know. I know very little about him. I've really only ever heard that one JonTron thing, and people have said, "Yo, you should let him interview at some point." I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, he pops up on Twitter every once in a while, and I watched the Sargon Destiny debate, and that was painful to get through. Yeah. But I mean, he called Patty Politics, who had unfortunately was suspended from Twitter because Twitter beat Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter went fucking nuts, didn't they? I don't know what
they got
happened.
rid of Patty Politics. They got rid of God, who else? There was a bunch in a row. It was Bering. They got rid of who else? There was someone else here. Yeah, there was a point where I had even made a post. I have an account on Gab that I'm just ready to start using because I'm waiting for the day that somebody just gets butthurt and I get flagged, or I mean, I don't feel safe on Twitter,
See, and that's the biggest issue with what I do when I try to take, and I try, and I know I fail. I know how badly I fail. I just deleted that whole Mad at the Gathering video because I feel like no one was satisfied with that video. I had like so many people on the left you know, like the Magic community telling me I didn't do a good enough a job. I didn't go hard enough on Jeremy. Meanwhile, I got Jeremy saying, you betrayed me, man. I can't believe you fucking did this. And I'm like trying to explain to Jeremy, and I think we finally saw eye to eye on it. You know, I'm trying to show it objectively. I even said, you know, I give you the benefit of the doubt in the video. He even clipped that part, but took it out of context, I felt. But I'm like, I even give you the benefit of the doubt. And when you boil down the benefit of the doubt, I still think the name calling and stuff like that's not cool. And I think now that we've talked in Skype and stuff, we talked on the phone for about an hour today.
Yeah.
I think at this point he like understands my point of view, but at the same time, I do see his point where that looked like I was dogpiling on him, and I don't want to do that. And so I'm not a perfect person, and I screw up a lot, but I try to take that objective, point at the middle of the road approach so that I trust my audience to come to their own conclusions. I think the people, you know, I think a lot of YouTubers, yourself included, pretty much have your point of view, and you hammer home your point of view, and your audience is going to assume that point of view. And if they like that point of view, they're going to stick around, right? That's how I've seen a lot of your content. That's how I see a lot of YouTubers, most YouTubers, honestly. I try to do it like DeFranco, but DeFranco does it 100 times better than I ever will. But I like to try to say, here's what the people on this side are saying, here's what the people on that side are saying, here's my personal opinion, knowing that my audience will come to what is a reasonable conclusion. Well, unfortunately, 90% of people will, but there's those fringe people out there who come to the wrong conclusion every time. So you got the people in the Magic community who's like, oh, this isn't good enough. I can't believe you called what he does criticism. It is criticism. It's just very harsh criticism. And that's what you don't like about it. You know, and there's a brigading effect there too, which I know you don't like. You know, I've been experiencing that since Jeremy made his video, and phone calls and stuff like that. You know, there's a brigading effect I know you guys don't like.
Yeah,
but that's not the issue that
a lot of this comes down to the fact that people need to understand that once you, I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people value their anonymity on the internet, and there's a lot of people who are very protective of their identities and their real-world informations, and I think we're seeing a lot of that here. This is why. There's a lot of, I mean, despite what a lot of people might think about you or Jeremy, and from me, my point of view is I like the both of you. I haven't really, I don't have really like an intimate relationship, friend-wise, you know, platonically with either of you.
Right.
I don't feel, you know, neither of us have talked immensely and at length. But, you know, I like both of your content and your stuff. And so seeing you guys, you know, going at each other like this, it can be, you know, it's like I'm caught between a rock and a hard place and I don't know what to do. And I'd rather everyone just kind of,
well,
I
feel exactly the same way. That's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you today. I will tell you what drives me fucking crazy. And this is what, like, really, this is one of the reasons I deleted the video is you know, I've been the target of those kind of witch hunts. I can't tell you how many times. You know, you got the whole Gamergate thing where like Jason Schreier's really mad at me and they banned me from NeoGAF, and I'm just like the topic of that. Just fucking
you should go and make a Reset Era account.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. I'm sure it'll be so different, right? But I mean, I've been the victim of exactly the situation you have Jeremy here, right? And you know, I can see things from the professor's opinion. I've talked to the professor. I can see things from Christine's point of view. I understand that, and I see it, and I want to give those points of views. I want to present those point of views so that people can deconstruct them themselves and show them what they say. And I also wanted to show Jeremy's point of view as well and let people deconstruct it and come to their own conclusion. But what never makes sense to me, whether it's somebody on the right or whether it's somebody on the left, it doesn't fucking matter who you are. When we see somebody doing wrong, we see this opportunity for our big fat cocks to get super hard and just beat somebody over the head with our dicks, right? And oh, let's just tear somebody apart. Oh, I perceive him as an enemy. I perceive him as a bad guy. And we don't always look into it, right? Like a lot of people on the left and the right, a lot of the people calling me cucks on the fucking Donald, or a lot of the people on the left who hate me because of the Gamergate NeoGAF stuff. They don't really know what I stand for. They don't really know what I was doing. And so I hate that, you know, what I say for Jeremy at the end of the day, and I said this to Jeremy on the phone an hour ago, what I don't like about the way Jeremy does stuff is the brigading effect sucks sometimes. And he just needs to be aware that he's got the power to do that kind of thing. And I don't necessarily like the name calling so much and the personal attacks so much. But at the end of the day, he has all the right to do that and all the power to do that if that's what he wants to do with his life. Nobody can tell him otherwise. But at the same time, two wrongs never make a right. You know, it drives me crazy it drives me crazy to see, I don't know. And I guess sometimes people deserve it. I guess that's what people say. But I don't think anybody ever deserves it. I think when someone screws up, when somebody makes a mistake, I think they have an opportunity to redeem themselves. And nobody does that anymore. Nobody does it anymore. You know, like the Donald hates me because they think I'm a drain on the healthcare system, for example. Well, I pay like $750 a month for healthcare, but I don't use that much. You know, the surgery I just got, which the idea to get the surgery was to reduce my healthcare bills. That cost me $20,000 out of pocket. That, you know, they didn't pay for a dime. My insurance doesn't cover it. And then you know, I don't know. And a lot of the tweets that they share over there, they're fake tweets. They're tweets I never made, which is like crazy. I don't know. And I hate that kind of witch hunt. And so I condemn it when the people on the left do it. I condemn it when the people on the right do it. I just condemn. Hey, two wrongs don't make a right. Hate begets hate begets hate. What's the point of it? You know?
I don't like when communities are at each other's throat. I think a lot of the times that, I mean, that we have real actual problems. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter if Magic the Gathering, video gaming, nerd culture as a whole in general has bigger problems than us, you know, going at each other like this, especially when, for the most part, I think we can all focus on common enemies. We've got, this whole net neutrality thing is going to be happening soon. We've got the slow but steady creep, sometimes not so subtle, you know, the social justice influence that, you know, seeps in. There's stuff that we could be focusing on that's, you know, maybe more productive, but I think that overall, and we've talked about this a little bit, but I don't want two people that I like, at least right now, that I like, it puts me in such a terrible position where I don't know, you know, he said this and that guy said that, and it's all hearsay on both sides, and I don't know where to go.
Right, which is ultimately like where I think me and Jeremy landed, is just like, you know, we give everybody a bit of information. Nobody's going to know what we're fucking talking about in private. There's no way to get that information out to everybody. So let's just get it out of the public eye and settle it ourselves, and that's where we are. So he's a good guy. I hated that he evoked the whole Anita Sarkeesian thing, because that not only like gets, I don't know, a lot of his audience, a lot of your audience, a lot of people, they're little ding dongs hard again. Of course, that's how I discovered you. Of course, you made a video criticizing me very fairly, in my opinion, about that whole situation. Unfortunately, like a lot of people don't really know my side of that, which kind of sucks. And I don't know that they would ever listen to it, even if I took the time to tell it. And I don't know, I guess the right phrase is I don't use the word too terribly often. So if I'm using it wrong here, I really cucked myself in that video describing the situation. But that was my anxiety disorder talking. Like that VidCon was a living hell for me. That
VidCon was hard on a lot of people. Yeah. And it really brought into light. It brought to light, I mean, overall, I'm glad it happened. Of course, that's coming from an outside observer's perspective, like myself. But in terms of, like, nobody walked out of VidCon, except maybe a few, you know, very fringe losers no one liked anyway. But very few people walked out of VidCon thinking better of Anita Sarkeesian, or thinking better of, you know, Hank Green and his brother. What's the other one?
John
Hank
Green,
and John,
the writer.
Very few people walked out of VidCon thinking, wow, the Green brothers, they handled that so well. No one walked out of that.
To be entirely honest with you, boy, I do not want to betray anybody's trust over VidCon, because I do like Hank. I definitely love John as a person. Yeah. And a lot of the people that work for VidCon are some pretty good people. You know, Hank is pretty, you know, extreme in his ideas, and John less so. But they definitely have their point of views, and they're definitely embedded in them. But they can be fairly moderate from time to time. That's what I admire about them. Is they can see the other side, even if they don't accept it. But when it comes to, like, I just had people saying at VidCon, we didn't know that it was going to turn out like this, and we didn't know about the history with, like, you and her. We did not know that. We would not have put you on the same panel at the same time. And they're like, why didn't you say something? And I'm like, because I'm not going to back down from that. You know, everybody thinks I'm a coward, and I get that, because I am. This anxiety disorder is no fucking joke. But I'm not gonna be afraid to sit down on a panel with her and debate her. And, you know, I'm not afraid of any person. What's the worst they can say or do to me? I was raised by a monster. My mom used to wake me up by telling me, I wish you were dead. You know, like that was what's something Anita Sarkeesian could say to me that would make me, you know, what I was afraid of was not her. What I was afraid of was creating a public mess. I was worried about the army of people that follow her and the mess that they would fucking make of my career, my life. I've tangled with those people before. I've been a product of that kind of witch hunt. The last thing I wanted to do was be on that side of the witch hunt. Well, unfortunately, I got the witch hunt from the other side because of it.
Well, you can't please people like Anita. I mean, it's in her audience. They will find once you have a target on you, they're gonna find some way to come after you. And I think the way that a lot of people felt in terms of VidCon and you and Anita was, I mean, for me, really the thing that stuck out with me so much is that it was when she wouldn't even take a picture with you. I mean, that to me was the thing that stuck out so much, that you wouldn't even be willing to take a picture with somebody. And because she was afraid that, I guess, what it would do to her image, or it could be used against her, because I guess maybe in her mind, she thought that taking a picture with Boogie would in some way be used to damage her, whatever her reputation is right now. Well,
the other thing you got to think about is that her introduction to me was she saw me. I hung out with Sargon and Bunty and a bunch of other people earlier that day. Lacey, Chris, I think your boyfriend's Chris Ray. Chris Raygun. Yeah, hung out with those guys pretty much throughout the most of that day. And I took some photos with them and then tweeted them out. And everybody's like, "Oh my God." She saw that. She's like, "Oh my God, is that who I'm on a panel with? Is he friends with Sargon?" Well, I'm friendly with Sargon. I like Sargon.
Well, that's enough.
You know, that's enough to where she's like very wary of me, right? And so when I introduced myself to her, I don't know if I ever told this part of the story, but when I introduced myself, I'm like, "Hey, I'm Boogie. I'm excited to be on the panel with you today. I think we're gonna have a pretty good debate." And she's like, "Oh, I know who you are." I'm like, "Oh, okay." That doesn't sound great. Well, so she was immediately wary of me, you know.
Spawn Freak, actually, I'll go through the super chats later. Thanks very much. I've been reading these, but Spawn Freak gave $5, so thanks much. And he said,
thanks, man.
He said, "For the record, Boogie, we weren't mad at you because you were respectful to Anita. We were mad because she was abusive to you and you apologized."
Of course I apologize. My mother was abusive to me and I apologize to her. I'm going to apologize to everybody. That's who and what I am. And like, I get that you guys think that makes me a coward. I think you have got to be a pretty fucking strong person to turn the other cheek. That's the difference, you know, and point of view. But at the end of the day, the thing that I'm afraid of is not another person. The thing I'm afraid of is not internet brigades. The thing that I'm afraid of is nothing other than not being able to lay down in bed at night and sleep. And the thing that keeps me awake the most, the reason I sat at my mother's bedside when she died. I held her hand as she died. And the last conversation I had with her, I told her I forgave her. And I didn't. I don't. To this day, she's dead 10 years and I still don't fucking forgive her. Well, I guess it'd be 10 years in 2009. But I wanted to give her a good death. You know, I wanted her to go into the other world feeling okay. And if I can do that for her, of course I'm going to do that for everyone else around me. Why wouldn't I? Why? You know, I am sorry that I upset her, but I'm not sorry for what I said. And that's what I said to her, and that's what I'll always say.
Well, do you think Anita is in that position? Do you think she's savable? Do you think she can be brought to some level of sanity? Because I think she's beyond saving. I think she's beyond saving.
I got to be real careful what I say here, and because there's a lot of powerful people who are friends with her and stuff like that. But I'm just gonna say how I feel. Fuck it. The woman I met, the woman I expected to meet, was like a violent, angry, like militant person. That's what I expected to meet, and that wasn't the person she was that day. That person she was a frazzled, scared mess, and I was really surprised by that because I expected, like, I don't know what I expected. I expected someone who just like was just going to shit all over me or whatever, but she just mostly seemed to be scared. And I don't know.
Well, I think the reason for that might have been that VidCon was really the first time that she had ever been in a position to actually listen to criticism of her.
Right.
She had never been in that position before. I mean, she's like on the record saying things like, I don't have critics. I only have harassers.
Right. And that's the thing that like people never fucking listen to. Like if you go and listen to that interview, I sat right next to that woman and I said to that audience of very progressive left-leaning people, and I said, you know, I know you guys, I said the accursed phrase, you know, I'm a straight white man, which is the reason I say that phrase there, and I said it in my video, is not because I believe any of that stuff. I don't know if being straight and white and male has ever been a privilege to me. I don't know where that is. Maybe when I get pulled over from time to time, but other than that, where was it when I was in a fucking shitty dead coal mining town? You know, living in a two-bedroom house, or sorry, two-room house shack that was falling down around me. Where was it when I was, you know, I don't know where the fuck that is, but I've never experienced it. I don't know why. But here's what I can tell you. That's what they think of me. So I said, as a straight white man, I can tell you that I've had death threats right up to the point of people taking a hit out of me on the Tor network. I've had people dox my information. They deleted my YouTube account. They hacked into my shit. They send boxes of shit to my P.O. box, to my home address. They leak my information. They try to swat me. And even though you guys think I have privilege, it does not help. And so this is not a female issue. This is not a black and white issue. This is not a trans or straight issue. This is a human issue. And everyone should be aware of it. And that's what she got mad at me about. When I walked off the stage, she put her finger in my face and says, I do not appreciate what you said there, and I do not appreciate that was your closing statement, and I didn't get a chance to respond. And I'm like, all right, I understand that it's upsetting to you. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry that I said it. I'm sorry that it upset you so much, you know. But, you know, I was not meant to be an offensive act. It was meant to just tell my side of the story and hopefully engage the audience in a way that they were aware of the situation. And all these people who are up there like, what's a straight white man doing on the panel? What's a straight white man doing on this panel? Everybody else is a woman. Everybody else is a person of color. Why is he here? Here's why, motherfuckers. Here's why. You know, I just wanted to defeat that stupid mentality.
I think that part was good. I like the fact you brought that up, though I do think that when you brought that up, it's sort of, I don't know, I think when those people, you know, when the Anitas of the world, when they hear, you know, white male, especially a straight white male, God forbid, that's when, once you bring that up, it's like they tune out. You know, in a way, I was glad that it, you know, upset her. Because she, for once, one of the things that it irritates me so much about Anita is how she dismisses any criticism, how she does not in any way face anybody. And VidCon showed us what happens when she's in the same room with people that criticize her, and very fairly. And they bring there's a lot of very legitimate problems with a lot of the things that she says. You
know, in her defense, and Lord knows people hate it when I defend her, and I understand why, but in her defense, I explained to her that I had an anxiety disorder, and that's not something I can handle, somebody wagging their finger in my face. And told her that I needed a moment to calm down, and if she wanted to talk about this further, I'd be more than glad to. And we went backstage, and we did talk about it for a while, and I explained to her my position and why I felt the way that I felt, and she explained to me her position and why she felt the way that she felt. And she at least heard what I had to say. I don't really think she ever considered any of the ideals. Like, it seemed like she was dismissing them as I said them.
I think she's too used to it at this point. I think that's just her default reflexive, you know, defense is just don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Right.
You know, and at this point, I feel like the you know, I don't know. She seems less relevant than she's ever been.
She is.
And at the end of the day, I kind of feel like that's kind of something she's done to herself, because I think people who have a more moderate point of view and are willing to look at both sides of a thing, I think those are the people that endure. And I can cite 100 people like that, right? And I think someone with her has a very one-sided point of view. Eventually, they know what you're saying, and they're just like, well, I'm done listening. I get it. You know.
So if you saw her again, what would you say?
The exact same thing I said last time, exact same thing I'll say next time, which is, hey, you know, do we have a chance to talk about this stuff? Let me show you my side of things. I'd love to hear more about your side of things and how you arrived there. I'd be interested in getting to know her more as a person and why she thinks the things that she thinks and does the things that she does, and hopefully in some areas bring her a little bit closer towards the middle, because that's where I think everybody needs to be. And, you know, hopefully, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I probably would not necessarily want to interact with her again, because clearly it's not something she's excited about doing.
I wouldn't want to interact with her, and it's not out of cowardice or anything. It's just she just seems vile.
Right, but if they put me on a panel with her next year, I'll do exactly the same thing I did last year. I'll be exactly as polite and exactly as kind and probably just as fucking terrified. But I'll treat her with the exact same respect I treat everybody, because that's what I do. That's what I do.
Well, the quartering. Yeah, I don't know if that's the real quartering. $17.76. No drama. Pretty sure everyone should just blindly subscribe to my channel for the Boogie v quartering Jello fight, though. Well, I'll watch that. Look, in terms of, I mean, looking back at it all, I mean, obviously Anita's not here, and she'll never be here, because she runs and she hides behind disabled comments and blocked likes. And that's what she is. She is a coward. She is a coward, but she has a power fantasy. She's an authoritarian by nature, but she's a coward, and that's how she handles with it, and that's how she deals with it. And
well, who am I in that area? Who am I to judge? I'm a bit of a coward myself, and I still have comments on, and I'm still willing to come talk to you today like this. And you're one of my bigger critics, but at the same time, you're a very fair critic. I think you're very fair to me, but. You know, I don't know, who might have fucking judge. You can do it all you want, but at the end of the day, I'm not. You know, I'm not. That's not exciting to me. Does that make sense?
I mean, I think I understand your. I think I understand your perspective. I think in terms of just personality, and in terms of. Because I think you never came across to me as someone who was doing things for the wrong reason. I think it's because people maybe kind of looked up to you as some sort of... I mean, I think a lot of people look to you and find strength in your image. Yeah. And I think when they saw some of the ways that you handle Anita, and I think people, and myself included, I think we wanted to kind of see you go in hard on her to really hammer things in. And
again, and if you're looking at that, for me, that's like looking at... you know, fucking, I don't know, an anorexic to win an eating contest. It's just not something, it's just like you're looking at the wrong person for the wrong thing, right? It's like asking me to run a marathon. That's not who and what I am. I don't really give a shit about most things. I like to talk about most things. I like to talk about them objectively. I like to help my audience arrive at the thing, but I'm nowhere near as excited about it either. Like I said, I like my dog. I like video games a lot. I'll defend video games pretty big. I'm a big fan of you know, an advocate for consumer rights. I'm a big advocate for mental health. But beyond that, I don't know, all this fucking identity politics, jerk off, circle jerk. I don't give a shit. Who cares, man? Does not excite me. I'll talk about it in a passing way because it's a passing fancy. You know, but other than that, I'll tell you, the only thing I think I feel strongly about when it comes to like all this identity politics and the left versus right and every stupid thing else, I think the only thing I really care about is it just seems so stupid to be that polarized to me, to be like very far left, not necessarily you.
Yeah, the extremes can
be. Like to be right. Like I never understand the extremes, right? And like the people who wear the left or the right as an identity and a personality. Like this is who I am. I wear a MAGA hat. That's my personality. Well, that's weird because, you know, like even some of the Nazis they're writing about these days, like they have hobbies and shit, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It just seems like crazy to me. It's just crazy. Like that's not, you know, I don't know. That's the only thing that never makes sense to me. You know, but then again, I'm a product of my time, right? I was born in the 70s, you know? I was raised here in the 80s. And that period of time, we're taught tolerance, right? We're taught tolerance all the time. You got to tolerate your gay uncle, right? And you got to tolerate the trans guy that works at the corner store, and you got to tolerate the black family that moved in your neighborhood, right? But the flip side of that is they got to tolerate you. And even though, you know, you just got to behave like a normal human being, they have to behave like a normal human being. Everybody just has to get along. That's America. And so that's always been my fundamental approach to everything. I just want everybody to get along, and I want to get along. And so I'm never going to be the guy that throws stones at, the quote cuck on the left. I'm never going to be the guy that throws stones on the straight white male on the right. I just want everybody to get along.
Well, I think, because you and I had a chat yesterday, and I won't get into any of the details on it, but you and I had a chat, and it was a long chat, and it was good. And it showed me a lot of, I think you were very fair in the way that, you talked to me. And I think that I learned a lot walking away from that. And because I had never really gotten your perspective in terms of a response to that. And a lot of people in the chat need to understand that I am not looking at this situation in the same way that you are. No one is actually looking at this situation in the way that I am. I'm still going to be critical of Boogie and Jeremy and everyone else, and I've watched videos on it, and I've read things on it, and ultimately I think that people just... you need to relax. People need to relax. Is what they need
but they're not going to. That's the cool thing about the internet, right? Like, I don't know, our country's always been found as uncomfortable and as miserable as it can make me. I'm a big proponent for freedom of speech, and specifically freedom of unpopular speech, right? And like one of the reasons what I don't understand about the left anymore is it's so crazy that like unpopular speech has to go away. But when I was a kid, being gay, that was the unpopular thing, right? Like being trans, that was the unpopular thing. What would have happened if we got rid of unpopular speech then?
Now right? It's almost trendy. It's like it's flipped in this weird way.
Now the unpopular speech is to say, well, I don't like that very much. And I don't know, man, it's just fucking stupid. Unpopular speech will always have a place in this country. I will die for that. I will fight for that. And again, I think there's different ways to do that. I think there's different ways to do that. I don't think unpopular speech has to be all about name calling and personal attacks. Again, I think that's something we can probably do without. But when it comes to saying things like, it's okay to be Christian, it's okay to be conservative, it's okay to not agree with the way some people live their lives, it's okay to have my personal opinions, it's okay to have my feelings.
Yeah, that's a very big problem. It's a cultural problem. And those things are, cultural problems run way deeper than legislation. When you have, look, I'm like on Twitter, I'm very, very pro free speech. I'm very, I'm pretty blatant about how pro free speech I am. And it's shocking that when you defend the amount of people who can't distinguish between, agreeing with Nazis and defending a Nazi's free speech. It really is staggering. And a lot of people don't understand how insane people can be until you're the one with the 30,000 followers and the big channel, and when people a lot of people listen to you and you say stuff like that, and those crazy things you see in videos of the This Week in Stupids and the highlights from channels about this crazy person, like those people are real, and they will eventually find you and they'll talk to you and they'll say, you can't give a Nazi free speech because that means you're defending, means you're a white supremacist. And that stuff, a lot of the times, it's just so crazy you don't even know how to respond to it.
Oh, by the way, in before false equivalency, claims in which, Boogie, are you comparing being gay? Oh, I think I already saw it in the chat. Are you comparing being gay to being a Nazi? No.
Oh, dear Lord. No,
Jesus Christ, you solipsistic, purposely obtuse people. No,
come on.
What I'm trying to say there is unpopular speech is very important to me in this country, and I don't necessarily include hate as being unpopular speech, or I don't necessarily include hate as being
this nebulous sort of thing that you could pluck out of the air and hold up whenever you need it. Hate speech is whatever you need it to be to win a vote or to get a motion passed. It is very dangerous to label things like that. And when you look at places like Sweden and you look at places like Germany and the UK where they have, hate speech laws, people get knocks on their doors for tweets. People are sent to prison because they said something bad about Islam, or they said something bad against immigration. People get knocks on their doors in the middle of the night, and that is scary. It's very important, and yes, this is Twitter, and it's only so important, but Twitter is a reflection of what we think. It is an extension of, you know, what we believe is, you know, people. It's where we go to voice our opinions. So
like, I would
smashing this stuff there is important.
I would say my personal line, and I don't impose this on anybody else. This doesn't have to be your personal line, but my personal line. If somebody says, you know what, I just don't like straight white men, I think they're the problem. I'm like, that's fair. All right, that's your opinion. You can have it. I just plain don't like immigrants. I think they're the problem. You know what? That's fine. That's your opinion. You can have it. Kill straight white men. Kill immigrants. Like, well, all right. That's where I don't think you should be so much saying that. So
yeah, that's the line that most people,
you know,
I think, would be okay with. You know, because that's the, you know, the differentiation between speech and violence, which shockingly there are people, by the way, who legitimately believe that speech is violence. You know, so when Antifa goes to Berkeley because, you know, a 5.5-foot tall Jew is talking about, you know, conservative principles, and they burn down buildings in the name of anti-fascism, I mean, those people are real. Those people are real.
Right. And at the end of the day, like, I don't know, that, like, Antifa doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, because I've been more of a Martin Luther King fan, Martin Luther King Jr. fan, who, by the way, said a lot of stuff that a lot of white people don't like. If you really look at what Martin Luther King
he said, you know, well, Gandhi's the same way. You look into the details of these people, but they're all humans.
Right, but like some of the more principles there, I've been a big fan of passive aggression. I've been a big fan of nonviolent protest. I'm a big fan of all that kind of stuff. And so when it comes to any of the things that have been happening lately, I just can't comprehend or understand it, you know. And I don't know. Like, somebody said the other day, you know, if you have a problem with Antifa and you don't have a problem with, you know, the alt-right, then I guess your problem is you just don't like people being rowdy or something like that. I don't understand their point.
Well, people
but my problem with Antifa is two wrongs don't make a right. Violence begets violence begets violence. Hate begets hate begets hate. I'm tired of hate. I'm tired of violence. I don't want to see that anymore in my country. That's how I approach it. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to stay in my house and play video games and make shitty videos every once in a while. And, like, if people want to kill each other in the streets, as long as they don't come into my house to do it, it's up to you guys. Just stab each other. I don't know. I'm not too worked up about it. You know, as long as I can finish Persona 5 before the end of the year, I'm going to be okay with it. Just don't cut off my internet and don't stab me.
Well, when you make when you criticize Antifa on Twitter, the first criticism that comes against you is, why are you defending Nazis? Right. And the first time that you attack Nazis, the first criticism is, how come you're defending communists?
With that magic video, I got called both a Nazi dog whistler, which is a phrase that has been used against me twice. I don't understand what it means. But
Nazi doesn't mean anything now.
Right. Then also called you know, like anti-free speech. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like people just throw those words around like cuck and Nazi. Like, you know, somebody says, Boogie, do you condone Nazi punching? No. Why?
No, I don't either.
Why?
That's
why?
I don't either.
Well, because who you think is a Nazi may not be a Nazi, so I don't recommend you punch everyone you perceive as a Nazi. Now, the Seattle Nazis walking around with the armband, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't hit the guy, but I can see why people did, because that's a little more blatant, right?
Philly D's in the chat here.
Hey, Philip, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, wow, man. Huge fan. Philly D sent $5. He said, love you, Boogie, but only a little. Get a big head about it. Heart.
You know I do, man. You know I do. DeFranco, again, you know, I've been a fan of DeFranco since the beginning of time.
Oh, yeah.
People who don't tune into his show, I really think you should. I think a lot of people who are very polarized are probably not going to like the way Phil approaches things, because you know, especially if you just want them to repeat the thing that you say. Phil does the thing that I tried to do, but does it better, infinitely better. He'll show one side, he'll show he'll show the left side, he'll show the right side, and then say fuck the people he doesn't like, and I love to watch him do it.
I think that, I mean, ultimately, a lot of people want to see that polarized, crazy take. I know a lot of people, you know, there are times when I get really passionate and I can get upset and angry at things because I care deeply about some things. And a lot of people show, you know, that they really like those moments. And unfortunately, a lot of people there's a time to relax and chill, and cooler heads will prevail, and there's a time to maybe show that immense passion. But I mean, there's a reason why the word Nazi doesn't mean anything anymore, and that's why I'm a white supremacist and you're a white supremacist and everyone's a white supremacist and everyone's a fascist.
By saying, like, how people arrived. My take on JonTron, again, I like to use it because I know he doesn't mind me talking about it. So my take on JonTron was I vehemently disagree with a lot of what John says. I think a lot of it is just factually wrong, and I think he's fairly misguided. That said, I do believe he is redeemable, and I do believe it's okay to separate the artist from the art. So if you enjoy his content, I think it's okay that you still enjoy it.
Yeah, if you can't separate the artist from the art, you're just not going to like anything.
Like,
what a miserable life it must be.
Why do you support white nationalists? Why do you support? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm supporting a guy who, I've talked to on Skype for 100+ hours. I'm supporting a friend who looks like to me made a stupid mistake. That's all I'm doing. But you're a Nazi dog whistler. You're normalizing Nazi. No. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's crazy. You're crazy. That's crazy. I don't have time for crazy. I'm already crazy
enough.
enough.
Less like sharks looking for blood in the water. There's a way to. First off, there's a lot of people who need to understand that Anita's a fantastic example. I think Anita's vile. I think she's a bad, horrible person who does things. She knowingly tells lies and creates narratives. But the last thing, despite all that, the last thing you need to do is feed into it. The last thing you need to do is, go for phone numbers and dox and, actually harass and things like that. People need to understand that from a pragmatic point of view, that helps her. And also, you lose the moral high ground when you start doing that as well. I never understood, the people can attack in that way and still feel... I mean, it's almost like a mini Antifa complex where what I'm doing is okay because I'm the morally superior person, or what I'm doing is okay because I'm doing it in the name of such and such ideology. Right. There are some lines that you guys need to understand.
Yeah, what is the phrase? What is the phrase I hear all the time? There are no wrong tactics, just wrong targets.
Oh, yeah, that
was bullshit.
Who was that?
I don't know who that is, but that's bullshit.
It wasn't Arthur Chu. It was I forget. I know exactly that quote though. I just forget who.
I don't know who it is either. But just like I hear that term all the time, and like that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Like you got to be better than the person you're fighting. If you can't, you can't win. And I don't understand that you have to be better. You have to be
Movie Bob, I think.
It was a Movie Bob. Oh God, I can only imagine the hate I'm getting for quoting him right now. I didn't know it was you, Bob.
No, I don't care. Movie Bob, fucking what the hell is wrong with you, Movie Bob?
Boy.
Get your shit together.
Again, he feels very, very strongly, which is a very foreign concept to me because I don't feel very strongly about anything. So he feels the way that he feels, and he does what he does, and I don't really know. I don't really understand it. I just kind of just don't pay attention to it because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me at the end of the day. A lot of what people say doesn't, But here's what I do. Here's what I can say. There are definitely wrong tactics, and there's also wrong targets. A lot of the times there's wrong targets. And when these fucking witch hunts, these fucking, whether it's coming from the left or coming from the right, people just believe what they read in a Reddit post, and not even in the post, but in the fucking headlines. They read what they believe what they read in a 140-character tweet. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. One of my favorites is somebody, I guess it was sports related, but his last name was Burton, maybe it's Lamar Burton or something like that.
LeVar Ball?
Yeah, that was it. And so everyone thought it was LeVar Burton, so they were sending hate to
LeVar Burton is
Twitter.
a Geordie in Reading Rainbow Man.
Right, and like, what the fuck did he do? But and people like, I hope you fucking die, you piece of shit.
People remembered who I am.
And he's like, I hope you fucking die, you piece of shit. And he's like, because I recommended you read a book? What is going on? I don't understand. But people don't think before they react. They let their emotions take place. That's where it's nice being dead inside. It's nice not having any emotions other than anxiety and pain. Because
being apathetic it does give you a level of, level-headedness, I guess. It does give you the ability, because passion can sometimes cloud your judgment, and absolutely can. And I feel like a lot of the, that's why someone could dress up in all black and burn down a store, because, man, they sure do hate fascists.
Right. I mean, and that's just, I just, none of it ever makes sense to me. You know, the world doesn't make sense to me anymore. You know, they said, I read when I was a child, or maybe I saw it in a movie, I don't remember. They said, one day you'll grow so old that you won't recognize the world around you. And that's progress. And I don't know that it's progress, because I guess I feel like every other old person, you know, and I'm not necessarily old, I'm 43, but I'm old and fat guy years by a lot. Like, you know, Ralphie May died at 39, for fuck's sakes. So I'm lucky to still be alive, you know. And barely at that, I'm still fighting for it right now. Even with the 120 pounds lost, I'm still fighting for it. But I'm at a point where I don't really recognize the world, and it doesn't really seem like progress to me anymore. It seems like it backslid really hard, because I liked the world better when it was all about tolerating the people around you and not attacking them constantly. You know?
I think that right now, it's a growing pain I feel.
Right.
This can't go on. It just can't go on. It's going to reach a breaking point, or it's going to peter out. I think it will eventually peter out. I think that it's just kind of this, you know, people are so upset about Trump because Trump is the next robot Hitler, and we can't have, you know, and Ben Shapiro was the next, robot Hitler, and everyone's Hitler, and I think it just, everything's just kind of mixing together, and there are a lot of people who get overly passionate for all the wrong reasons, who want power, and...
Do you remember when it was a much more innocent time, when the Tea Party was the one calling everybody Nazis and calling Obama Nazis and stuff? And everybody was like, oh, isn't that cute and quaint and stuff? Like, isn't that adorable that they think Obama could be a Nazi or something?
Yeah, at least they didn't burn shit down. Well, those were such simpler times.
And then, like, you got to remember, I remember a period of time where, you know, like, rabid discourse was daring, you know, doubt that Reagan was correct. How dare Reagan? How dare Reagan? Like, and other people are like, I respectfully disagree with you, Mr. President. And everybody's like, oh my God. Oh, wow. Oh my God, who dares disagree with the president? I remember that.
And now...
You know? And so now it's just like, hey, let's crucify that dude.
Yeah, I'm brave for standing up to a president. It's like, okay, yeah, that's a good job.
I remember when threatening the president would get you a Secret Service call. Well, there's not enough Secret Service.
Secret Service members
to you know, I don't know.
I mean, there's been two assassination attempts, and they don't get a lot of news coverage, but it's you know, it could be. I'm bracing for. I'm not bracing, but it wouldn't crazy things can happen, and maybe just remember that if Trump gets knocked off, it's President Pence. So let's keep that in mind.
Oh, I've always thought that was the plan. I always thought the plan was to put Trump up there, have the Republicans put Trump up there for a while, have him do some really unpopular shit, and then indict him or let him get prosecuted by the Democrats or something to that effect. And I'm no conspiracy nut, but that just makes the most sense, really, if you think about it. Like, let him take the fall for like a bunch of really unpopular things, and then Pence takes over. And it just seems like that's the way it's going to play out. And it's crazy. Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do read the conspiracy subreddit every day. And then when they said that, I was like, oh, my God, that makes so much sense. Oh, my God.
So Weeb gave $5. He said, talk about video games, you fuck boys. And I suppose, what are video games? What are those?
So Persona 5 is up for best game of the year for a lot of people. And I had never played a Persona game. And I took one look at it, and I'm like, what's this weeaboo shit?
Yeah,
play this, right? But then the guys over at Crunchyroll like offered to sponsor me at some point. I'm like, I don't really watch anime anymore. Like, well, here's a passcode. Go log in, watch some stuff. And I watched like Food Wars and JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I'm like, I forgot how good this stuff was. It's good. Like, I really should.
I know I'll probably lose 12 subs over this, but I really should get back into anime.
Because
a lot of it in the past that I've seen has been quite good, actually.
What it is that's interesting about it to me is there's a lot of storylines you just don't get in Western culture anymore, right?
Yeah,
and whether it's like
they'll go there. They will make stories about the weird shit that people over here like that wouldn't make money.
Like, we're so okay with violence over here, but we're so against sex over here, and it's just crazy. There's like plenty of sex stuff in like even though it's the most tame anime, and it's fun.
Oh yeah,
and I'm not like jerking off to hentai here. I'm not, I'm fucking my
It's good to see that open, comfortable sexuality in media.
Yeah, right.
Like, and now look, have you seen all this crap going on about Xenoblade 2?
Yeah, I bought
that character with big boobs. That's not even really how she looks, and everyone's freaking out because you can't use fucking boobs in video games. I don't
understand. Like, I just made a video today For those of you who want to go leave a comment on it about what a cuck I am, I was talking about this game Detroit Become Human, and they released a trailer in which they show like domestic abuse from the point of view from the android who's stuck in a home with a child who's being abused, and like they show you how depending on your decisions, either the child gets killed or the android kills the father or whatever, and that's going to be part of the game. And they're like, there's the cry of censorship. Oh no, you can't put that in the video. Are you fucking joking me? That I am a victim of domestic abuse, 18-year veteran of it, and I that doesn't bother me. And I in fact, it looks healing to me to be able to watch. That is exciting to me. I want to see that miserable part of my life represented in a video game. I want to be able to experience it. It will seem therapeutic to relive it.
And it happened with the Last of Us 2 trailer as well.
Right? Because they're beating up on a woman and stuff, and
like,
I don't know.
It's okay when it happens to men. How many men do you slaughter in video games mindlessly? But when it happens to a woman, oh fucking shit, you can't do that.
And like, don't get me wrong. At the same time, I played Grand Theft Auto 5, which is one of my favorite games. I played through the story three times now. But the scene, also Wolfenstein, the first Wolfenstein. Haven't played the second. And I guess not the first Wolfenstein. When I say the first Wolfenstein, to people my age, you're talking about you're talking about the one on Apple II? Is that what you're talking about? The one on the from 1992? Yeah.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Orders, you bet.
I guess the New Order is the one, right?
The New Order. Great game.
Like the two torture scenes in there. I don't know. The first one in like Wolfenstein New Order, I put on when I streamed it, I put on Stuck in the Middle with You and like recreated that Tarantino scene and stuff. Just had fun with it. But I don't know, it was kind of disturbing to me to see what they did in Grand Theft Auto 5. I was like, wow,
I actually didn't have a problem with Grand Theft Auto.
It was darker. I mean, I didn't either. I enjoyed it. I had a little half chub during that miserable part of that scene.
It's weird because like, people made such a huge deal about it, and I watched it and I'm like, oh, I thought it would be more.
I think watching it is part of it, but did you play through the game? Through Grand Theft Auto 5 story?
Yes.
Okay, to me, I think a lot of it is by the time you get to that point, you're pretty well into Trevor's mind, and Trevor's like fucking
like the first time you see Trevor, he's fucking somebody, and then he kills her boyfriend, and he just like no remorse at all. He's total psychopath, doesn't care. And most normal people can understand it's a video game too, so add that on it. And it's like, it takes a lot to shock me in games.
Yep, me too.
But a lot of it comes down to, the intimate nature of understanding a character. Like, I will shoot up a Russian airport, and it will not make me budge an inch. I don't give a shit. It's a video game. I don't care. And then they're like, I need you to shoot this dog. And I'm like, oh, no, nope.
Right,
nope, sorry, nope. Not going to do that.
I didn't feel that way until I got my current dog, Sammy. He's been with me now for 2.5 years. He's my best friend. He's my therapy dog. We actually have him registered as a therapy dog because he's just very naturally empathetic. He can tell when I'm anxious. He can tell when I'm nervous, even when I don't know it yet. And he'll get in my lap and he'll kiss my face. And he's just such a great. And now that I see that, I get the thought of another dog. Like, you shoot somebody in the face, I don't give a shit. I used to watch Ogrish back in the day. I used to look at E-Bomb's World back when it was disgusting.
Oh,
I don't give a
shit. E-Bomb's World, man, that's taking it back.
Yeah, it really is, man. Or even Style Project, you remember that?
I do not remember. No.
Style Project is like one of the most disgusting. That's where I first saw 3 Men, 1 Hammer. Don't Google that, please don't. I'm sorry I said. But like, I don't know, like that's kind of stuff. Having grown up in a violent world, it never really bothered. Violence never bothered me. And also sexuality, even though I'm a rape survivor, not really rape. It's not the fairest term. I was molested. It's a big difference. And but I'm a survivor of that stuff. And it doesn't really bother me. Nothing really bothers me. And I think it should be in video games. I think it's okay to put it in video games. I think we should put it in video games. And in my genuine opinion is somebody mentioned Pain Olympics. That's one of my least favorite ones. That one really bothered me. 3 Guys, 1 Hammer is the one that made me stop watching that stuff. I was like, that was enough. That was officially all over.
There were some things. It's strange. A lot of it because we see this shit in TV and in movies all the time. Not even strange to see it. If I can't remember the last movie that didn't have a rape scene in it, but you have that in a video game. Oh shit. Oh fucking shit. You can't. Right. I mean, you'll see ads on the TV for Game of Thrones and all this stuff where people are getting their junk cut off and rape and incest and terrible murder and slaughter. No one bats an eye, but people see a domestic violence scene in a video game and they lose their shit. Right. And you have to understand that video games are, I mean, they're on the same level as movies in terms of media. They're just, I don't know why people are losing their shit over it. I legitimately don't understand.
The problem is that I think I do understand it. And I'm not going to name anybody by name here, but you probably figure out exactly who I'm talking about when I talk about this. But it goes all the way back to the lawyer from the 90s. What was his name? Jack Thompson. Jack Thompson, right? Like, they think these games are just for kids. But kids these days, they're not playing your Detroits and Heavy Rains and even your Last of Us. What they're playing is they're playing your Minecrafts and your Cootie Duties and all the stupid shit, right? Yeah. You know, those games are the ones designed for kids, and kids play them. They're not. You name a 12-year-old that wants to sit through Heavy Rain, and I'll tell you have a very disturbed child on your hand, you know. But they don't understand that. They think this is that adults don't play video games because they don't play video games because they're fucking 60. You know, I'm 40.
And the average video game user is like upper 30s, mid 30s, something like that.
Right, and they don't, and you give them that statistic and they don't believe you. They don't believe it. You got to protect the kids. Got to protect the kids. And they don't even really give a shit.
The kids. That's the Jack Thompson argument. You know, think of the children, and they want the government to step in and do this and do that. And that'll segue if you want to talk about loot boxes. That could segue into that. But it all comes down. I mean, it should be parents should be watching their kids. The government shouldn't be watching kids for the parents. But if you want to, I mean, there's an M on the cover of that box for a reason. And going further than that starts to set some very questionable precedents. And after that, you start having government entities and game journalist sites and all of these people saying you can't have this in video games. You can't portray this.
So you got to remember, I lived through the Tipper Gore, Hillary Clinton era. This is why I couldn't vote for Hillary Clinton. Because I lived during the era of the 90s when they were trying to get the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms division of the U.S. government to control video games like a controlled substance. Oof. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you with a rake, fuck you, right? And like,
can you imagine if that had happened?
Oh, I can't.
Oh my God!
Imagine. I mean, it'd be as it is in Australia, Germany, other places where video games are heavily censored.
Oh my God! I know.
Or worse.
Think about you can go everyone. You can go and Google games that have been banned in Australia, and it'll shock you.
All right.
Kind of like the list of books that have been banned. But there you go.
But the whole point of the NSRB was for us to self-regulate, for the industry to self-regulate, right? And so that's why I was so excited, and this is why people like Jim Sterling, Total Biscuit, and I, and Angry Joe, and everybody else is calling for the ESRB to at least start putting on the box if a game has loot boxes in it, right?
Yes,
and especially paid for cash, right? Because if the ESRB doesn't do that, eventually the government
will step in and they will overreach, as they always do. And then,
and so the ESRB goes, nah, because we're owned by EA at this point. A lot of people don't really connect that, and I don't know that that's true, but that's what I've been told by some industry insiders. If you look at the people who run the ESRB, I mean, look at how much money it's funded by the publishers, and the publishers are the ones telling them what to do. And so they're like, don't let them fucking do that. I don't know if that's true or not. Like I said, I don't quote me on that, but that's what I've been told.
I would not be shocked at all if that was the case.
And
Activision and Ubisoft and EA, they have so much money to throw around. It would not shock me at all. And
here's the thing with loot boxes. People say video games make you more violent. Well, we have 1,000 studies that tell you they don't. And if you put sexual things, or I guess, quote, misogynistic or sexist things in video games, quote,
so basically
quote,
showing
it affects people. But we have a lot of statistics that show that that's probably not the case. But when it comes to simulated gaming, we're starting to get statistics that either we don't have statistics that prove it otherwise, or we're starting to get statistics that say that it is. And there's certainly plenty of anecdotal evidence. I'll point to the post a guy put on the Star Wars subreddit, which I meant to signal boost, but he talked about spending $10,000 as a teenager. And like Kotaku, you know, God knows how I feel about Kotaku. Hi, Jason Schreier.
Oh, you're not the only one.
Right, but they did do due diligence on this one story in investigating that and getting the guy to prove the money he spent on microtransactions and shit like that. And when he was able to do that, it confirms the story. And there's at least one piece of anecdotal evidence of somebody who has addictive personalities. But I have an addictive personality, right? And I also have money to spend. So the amount of money I spend on Hearthstone, I am embarrassed by. I spent as much money on Hearthstone as I have Magic, and I can at least resell my Magic cards.
So here's a question, though. And the loot box debate is one I like. I like this debate because I'm right. So
good, right? Of course you are.
Loot boxes are gambling. Okay.
Absolutely, especially when
yes.
real money is involved.
Yes, especially when when real money is involved. Absolutely, even when there's no real money, it's still gambling in principle.
Right.
It's just there's just no real money. So the principle of gambling, obviously, you're wagering something for a chance to get something out of it. So that's the most common rebuttal that I hear. Well, actually, give me a second. Let me get a drink of water. I've been talking a long time.
Yeah. Well, let me fill the silence by saying, I think that it's not necessarily exactly gambling because you can't really win anything. I think in the case of CS:GO, it's definitely. I think it's definitely gambling because you can earn money. You can come up with more Steam wallet than you had when you went in. So that's a fucked up thing to do. But when it comes to like Star Wars Battlefront 2, that's simulated gambling. It's not actually gambling. It's simulated gambling. But that's a pretty scary line. And I think if we put gambling in a video game, if we put a poker video game on the PlayStation or the Xbox One, we're going to label that as having gambling in the game, simulated gambling. So I don't know why the NSRB would not be so kind as to put that on the exact same box in the exact same way. This is also simulated gambling. You're opening loot boxes. You can get good things. You can get bad things. That's simulated gambling. You can win currency. You can win in-game currency. That's simulated gambling.
Yeah, and gambling is it's not like don't equate. It's important that you don't equate gambling to things like violence and stuff like that because gambling's different. Gambling's different. Ultimately, gambling loot boxes are kind of like microtransactions DLC. They're not bad in principle, but they can be abused, and they often are. So you have a system like, I think Overwatch is a great Overwatch loot boxes I am totally fine with because Overwatch loot boxes, while they're gambling because you can pay real world money for them, and I think that every copy of Overwatch needs to have a label on the front that says contain game of chance gambling.
Absolutely.
Very important, and by default it should have an M rating on it.
I don't know. I a lot of people, I differ on that opinion. A lot of people say M. I say T for teen. I think only because I think a 12-year-old can learn the lesson, but even more importantly, by the time you're in a mature audience, you've played so many fucking Apple iOS games, right? Like children right now are buying loot boxes at 5.
That makes sense. And plus, you still have to have a parent's credit card information. All right.
Exactly.
Someone had suggested that they make it against the rules to have credit card info or payment info saved. That every time you want to use it, you have to put in the info manually every single time.
That'd be great.
That would be a good idea. That'd be a good idea. But with Overwatch is a fantastic example because Overwatch is a game where, and this ties into Battlefront 2 a little bit. EA comes out with Battlefront 2. It's got the space battles. It has the 2 different eras. It has the lighty sabers. Everyone's thrilled. And then EA comes out and says, not only that, right, but all the DLC will be free and the map packs will be free and it won't split up the community, and everyone collectively shat themselves in shock. Yep. And it turns out the price was loot boxes or progression. Also, it's pay to win. Give us your money.
What's so crazy about that? Allegedly, I'm going to tell you allegedly. So again, I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
I got you.
But allegedly, I went to the PlayStation Experience last year, and allegedly, I met a lot of people who they were excited to see me at the EA booth. And I was just kind of passing by, but they flagged me down to like, hey, Boog, have you got a chance to try our VR experience? We know you're a huge fan of VR. And I'm like, for Battlefront 2? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, it's on PSVR. I'm like, fuck it, I'll try it. And I went over, and I was amazed. It was short but good, And like the released version of it was free. It's really fun. A lot of people don't like VR. You don't have to like it. I like it.
I heard it's a lot of it's about just taste and what you find.
Right. But I like it, and I enjoyed that experience quite a bit. And then I was done with it. They were like, "Well, we really understand you didn't like the first game," and I'm like, "Yeah, for a lot of reasons."
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't buy it.
They're like, "Well, I think you're going to be really proud of the second game, allegedly." And I'm like, oh, good. And they told me some of the stuff they were working on and stuff like that. And they told me about the VR or the DLC stuff being free. And I'm like, yeah, but what's the trade-off for that?
Yeah, what's the catch?
They're like, we're working really hard on an Overwatch style model. And I'm like, oh, awesome. Oh my God, it's going to be cosmetics.
Where it's all aesthetic and it doesn't affect gameplay.
Helmetless Vader, and it's going to be like fucking Princess Slave Leia, and it's going to be fucking
so cool.
Old versus young Han, and it's going to be customizable stormtroopers and bots. Oh my God, I can't wait. And I genuinely believe, allegedly, that that's what they were working on.
I can believe it because we found all that cosmetic stuff buried in the game right? That wasn't released, right? After they said we don't want to fuck around with the lore or anything, then we found all the costumes and stuff. We're gonna put Rey on Tatooine, but we're not gonna fuck around with the lore. But
I was so excited. I was so excited. And
me too.
And then
I
played the beta, and I was just like, "What is happening? Why did this happen?" To this day, I still haven't bought the game. Everybody's like, I streamed it.
I'm not buying it
with the EA Access thing.
Yeah,
because I subscribe to that for the free games, $5 a month. Who gives a shit? It's just what's $5 at the end of the day, right? And that's better than buying their games at 60 a pop plus paying more. So I went ahead and downloaded it using the EA Access thing after the beta, and I streamed it long enough to pick it apart. People were like, "You're supporting the game." No, I won't even. If they send me a code, I won't even cash in the code. I'm so mad at that game.
It's such a shame. They could have hit it out of the park. They could have.
Yeah.
And
they should have.
It's shocking to see the potential of how good EA could have done. And then you're like, is EA actually going to do a good? And then we look back now and we're like, of course they fucked it all up.
No.
So titanically now.
I keep going back to the scene in Arrested Development where he opens up the bag and it's like, oh, I don't know what I expected. But that's exactly how I felt when I played that fucking beta.
And I was on the verge of buying it too. I saw the gameplay of it. I saw the shooting and the moving and the space battles. I'm like, that looks really cool. This looks like a Battlefront sequel that we need. I might buy this game because I don't pre-order on principle anymore. I don't do any of that stuff anymore. And sure enough, then we start learning about it, and I'm like, oh, never mind. I'll go back to all the other games.
Right.
But
there's so many good games that came out this year. Like I said earlier, Persona 5, now I've dug about 15 hours into it, and it takes like 100 hours to beat it. And I feel so bad. I was so wrong about that game. Because it's like, it's actually like, I really like old school Final Fantasy turn-based combat, and this is that, but on crack, and it's fairly challenging. Most of the Final Fantasy games past the first one is just kind of like a snooze fest, and like as I grind it out, and I'm grinding it out a little bit every day right now, I'm just like, oh my god, I was so wrong about this game. It might be my game of the year. Sorry, Zelda.
Well,
sorry, Zelda.
Okay, look, I don't play Nintendo. I don't have a Nintendo system. I have a 3DS actually. But I grew up on a lot of Nintendo games, and I haven't played Breath of the Wild. It is very strange, though, how fans of that are very protective of its reputation.
And it's weird because it's less of a Zelda game and more of a Skyrim mod, you know?
I get you.
And somebody was looking at me. They looked over my shoulder right after Bethesda sent me a code for Skyrim. And I'm playing it on my Switch during one of my parties, and somebody looks over my shoulder like, "Are you playing Skyrim on your Switch?" And I'm dressed up as Link, and I said, "No, didn't you notice this is a Breath of the Wild mod?" And it could, I mean, the games are somewhat interchangeable in a lot of ways. They really are.
I'm just sick of hearing about Skyrim. I'm sick of hearing about Skyrim. Enough with Skyrim. Let it just forget.
Yeah, I was playing through it for press purposes to see whether or not it's something I can recommend to Switch owners, and I'm like, not at $60. There's not even like mod support on here, so maybe wait till it's on sale.
And you gotta have mods with Bethesda games. It's just you gotta.
Right, there's still like like Sterling pointed out. And I know people who worked on this port too, so I feel bad for shitting on you right now if you're listening. But Sterling pointed out, there's bugs that have been there since the release of the game, and it just kind of sucks, And I get that, but at the same time, I guess you know what you're getting into when you get a Bethesda game. But that's the thing: the modding community can always fix the things Bethesda won't, but you can't on the Switch. So that's the worst possible version of it. It's the lowest res, because of the hardware limitations, and it's still got some of the same old problems. And I don't know. I think it's a good $30 buy if you really want to play Skyrim
again
on the go
on your fourth system,
right?
At 2017. Fair enough. So let me see. In terms of my game of the year, I mean, you mentioned Persona 5. I haven't played it. Is it just PlayStation?
Yep, it's PlayStation 4, and that's a lot of people are like, don't you hate consoles? And I'm like, kind of. These days with my back and knee pain, I feel more comfortable on my couch, and I really don't have a PC set up in the living room, so I do play a lot more games on consoles than I used to, just out of convenience sakes. I still prefer the graphic fidelity of PC gaming.
I only have a PC, and all I play is pretty much PC right now. But
right. I'm at that point where if I want a code for a game, all I have to do is ask, and sometimes I don't have to ask, and I get the review copies of the hardware since I talk a lot about the consoles and stuff, and so like I have it all, may as well use it. That makes sense?
Fair enough. For my game of the year, I'm kind of leaning towards Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Man, I played half of that game and really enjoyed what I played, but after halfway through it, I'm like, I'm just gonna watch the rest on YouTube because I don't feel like I'm making any choices here.
I kind of gotcha. It's definitely for me it was. I mean, it sticks with me. It's a game that sticks with me. It's the intimacy of the world and how well it's crafted.
Right, and it's made by a small team too, and it had a $30 price tag, and so like it's very recommendable game. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but like it does talk about mental health quite a bit, and it's really cool.
It's very central to the game and her experience, and it's a character that. I mean, Cindy was a character that was so well done. Melina Juergens is the voice actress and the mocap person. But she, I mean, as a character, I mean, you feel so much for the character in that situation that she's in. You feel this despair for her. You feel like you have impossible odds and that you are just at the bottom of the barrel and you are just barely pulling yourself through. Because when you watch, in all those games where you save the galaxy and all that stuff, you're like, I know you're going to win. You know the good guys are going to win. You know that you're going to do fine. Things will be okay. But you play this game and you just feel so bad for the character and her struggle. And you feel so immersed in this world. But
pay attention, developers, because this is how you make actual progress. like this is, it's not by ham-fisting it down somebody's fucking throat, right?
Yeah, it's like, I am gay.
Right? Hello, this is just, this is just, I don't know, it's a relatable character who's interesting, who happens to have these issues. The game is built around those issues, so it's a reason for it to be there. And even like the fucking most stout guy is just like, I refuse to learn about things. He's just like, but I like this video game about this crazy bitch, Yeah, and that's the game. That's how you. It's cinematic
in the good way. Cinematic is such a dirty, tainted word now, but Hellblade is cinematic in the ideal way. It does have a movie-like quality to it, but it's very immersive. And anyway, before I could go on and on about it, but I loved Hellblade, maybe my game of the year. But Divinity: Original Sin 2 is my other contender. The turn-based strategy game, the RPG for PC. Hopefully it'll come to consoles later. And Prey is probably that's my big three there. Hellblade, Prey, and Divinity: Original Sin 2.
Okay, so Divinity, I did not get a chance to play because it came out right after my surgery. And I feel so bad because I didn't check my email for a month. And at the end of that month, the developers were like, hey, we want to send you a collector's edition unbox on your channel and stuff.
Oh,
and I'm
with
like,
the fucking statue, the Fane statue? Son of a bitch.
I missed it. And I'm like so fucking miserable. But I literally, I mean, I was sleeping 14 hours a day, 15 hours a day, barely awake, unable to work. I was in such incredible pain. I was high on those fucking Oxy that they gave me. It was miserable times. I did not pick up that copy, and I have yet to take the time to play it. And then what was your third game on that list?
Prey.
Yeah, Prey. I despise it, man.
Really?
I couldn't get into it at all. Like again, the challenge level was pretty high up there, and it just kind of like became frustrating at some points, and I felt like I was backtracking too much. It was like
there's a lot of backtracking.
Right, like areas, don't get me wrong, I love your average Metroidvania game, and the backtracking is always part of it, but I don't know. So about halfway through it, I chose that as one of the games I wanted to stream, and my stream just did not enjoy watching it. I think Cuphead is probably in my top 10 this year.
I played
Mario Odyssey is probably in my top 10. Zelda's probably in my top 10. Persona 5 is probably in there. I don't know. I haven't really worked on the list. Resident Evil 7, surprisingly good,
so
both
good.
in and out of VR. So that's in my top 10.
Resident Evil 7 is so good. I was surprised at how good it was and how much I liked it. The first 4 or 5 hours of that game, oh man.
Oh, it's incredible.
I was like, is this... I mean, this is a Resident Evil game. This feels like, it's new, but Resident Evil 7, for those of you who want a great survival game, a good spooky game, definitely take a look at Resident Evil 7.
And I think if you're going to buy PlayStation VR, which you're not going to, nobody is, but if you do decide to buy it, that's definitely one of the games to play in it because it's not really built from the ground up, but it's built with it in mind.
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of the other PS4 experiences, PSVR experiences. And wow, is it good. There's some really disjointed parts, like some of the moving around in VR is frustrating, and like when it goes into like cutscenes where the character is supposed to do something, it can be a little disorienting. So it's not the perfect VR experience, but it's good. I was so surprised. And here's another thing devs need to take heed of. Just coming from me as someone who plays video games and who generally has really good opinions about them. All right. Right.
So Resident Evil 7 is an excellent example of how you can, and Hellblade does this as well. There is a scope of the game that the game understands. In Resident Evil 7, you have a house in a swamp, right? And when they start deviating away from that, the game isn't as good. It's still pretty good. Yeah. But once you understand that it is better for you to focus on to understand the limitations of what people might care about, right? People care about that house and the 5 characters in this game, right? Don't try to have these massive set pieces where incredible, amazing things are supposed to occur. Just give us a well-designed, good-looking, smaller area that we can become familiar with, that is intimate and close, and it will stick with us. Yep. Because I guarantee you that Resident Evil 5, for instance, for all of its explosions and gunfights and machine guns and hand cannons, none of that I will remember as much as that little house in the swamp.
Yep, exactly. That was terrifying, and the way that they would alter the pathways, and that was a good use of backtracking there, in my opinion.
Yes, with the doors. Yes,
right, and just like I don't know, it was a really just well-designed game. It really kind of petered out towards the end. Like another game that I think really frustrated me in that regard this year was the new South Park game. Huge fan of the first South Park game. Did you play the new one?
I did not. I haven't played them yet, no.
The new one has like really improved combat. The jokes aren't as edgy and aren't as fun. It really pokes fun of a lot of identity politics, which is really funny. Like that's the best part of the game. But then towards the end of it, I don't know, it just kind of started I kept thinking this has got to be the ending, and it's not, and there's more, and there's more, and there's more. And I get that that's good for value proposition for people wanting to play the game, but I was like, man, am I becoming one of those journalists where they just don't like good video games anymore, or is this just starting to get boring because it's repetitious? I don't know.
Yeah, well, a lot of the times you're just like, and plus a lot of it has to do with how much you get the player to care. So, in Mass Effect, you save the galaxy. In Star Wars, you save the galaxy. How many times have you saved... You're trying to save something that's such a large scale that there's no way you could possibly ever really care. Right. I mean, like, you can't fathom the fate of a galaxy. He's like, I'll bomb Megaton. I don't care. It's such a huge scale that you just don't... You can't relate to it, right? But then you have those scenes where, are you going to shoot the dog? You're like, no, I'm not going to shoot the dog. And then you remember the houses and the places, these little tiny things that you can relate to. I have 4 characters in this story, and they're all interesting and memorable. And that is far more important than the 36 random NPCs I meet in whatever RPG you're going to throw at me. And a lot of it comes down to, I think a lot of devs and a lot of publishers feel like you have to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and more explosions and more booms, and the stakes have to get bigger, where reality itself is at stake. And that's a problem I had with Mass Effect Andromeda. I played it for about an hour. I don't expect to return. I was just like, here's a new galaxy you've never been to. Characters you don't care about. A plot that I felt no connection to anything. I felt no connection to anything. I spent untold hours in the first 3 Mass Effects, and now you're like, remember all that stuff? Yeah, you're going to another galaxy, and everyone you cared about's dead now. So
copy paste. No, thank you. I don't give a fuck. That's the problem with open world games. When I was a kid, they were fascinating. The first open world game that I played was Adventure on the Atari 2600. Soon after that, I got to play the original Legend of Zelda, which was like the quintessential game that I judged all other games by for a really long time. And that's what I liked about the new Zelda, is it was so non-linear in that regard. It really felt like the way I remember the first experience, the first NES version. But a lot of the times, the way people create open world games these days, one of the reasons I think Skyrim continues to be what Jim Sterling called the cockroach of the video game industry. You just can't kill it. It just won't die. But it's because it was handcrafted and even more so than Fallout 4 in a lot of ways.
You remember the time when you heard open world and you're like, ooh, wow, open world,
right.
a world to explore. Now it's like, now honestly, when I hear open world, I'm like, eh.
Yeah,
Metro, the next Metro is like, it's when I heard, I don't think it is like truly open world, but when I first heard it was open world, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, damn, because what made the first two Metros so great was that it understood its scale. It understood the size you need to be to have you care. And it was like, you have to go through this way, and there's some deviations, but we can craft an interesting and immersive experience because we don't try to make the world so big we can't fill it with stuff you care about. And The Witcher 3s, those are games that are the exception to the rule. Like, they put so much work into the world that you shouldn't be, Witcher 3 made it work. It's like, the CD Projekt Red is a gem. They're not the rule when it comes to open worldness. And like a lot of these games are just empty. I got that with World of Warcraft. Yep, when I played that game, I'm like, so much of the world is empty. It's just I don't feel any connection to this struggle and this fight or any of the races because so much of the world is just dead. There's nothing in it.
The other thing that, the problem with World of Warcraft for me, and I enjoyed it when I
paid to go to.
Well, yeah, that's what everybody's like. You're going to play on the vanilla servers? I'm like, no, I'm going to try to sleep and eat and move around. I'm not going to play that game for 12 hours a day. They're like, well, you don't have to. And I'm like, no, you do if you want to get anywhere in there. If you don't want to be level 20 for the next 6 months, you probably should quit your job, But whatever. I played EverQuest for like a career, like for 3 straight years, every day, 12 hours a day. Yeah. And that world was kind of like a choose your own adventure thing. Like there were quests in that game, but there was no hand holding, no journals, no go here, do that. No. And World of Warcraft is more of a theme park, right? It's kind of a theme park ride. Try Adventureland, then try Mushroom Land, then try Panda Land, then try, and there's quests guiding every step of the way. Here's why you're killing these monsters. Here's why you're killing these. I don't know. That's the thing. The whole theme park ride version of MMO is boring to me. I want to be dropped in a world to help shape the world myself and create the world myself and build the world myself.
Well, and I really liked MMOs for me. I really liked Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, Guild Wars 2 was fun to explore. I really enjoyed exploring.
That's what I liked about it. I liked the exploration. I didn't do any PvP or stuff like that, but I maxed out a character. I have other characters, and I'll pop in every once in a while, but I enjoyed walking around, doing things, and seeing this world because it felt like a real place with people and characters and races, and it felt like an actual place that could be real. Yep. It wasn't, World of Warcraft that had 4 places to be, it seemed, and everything else was just barren.
And again, that's what EverQuest felt like because it was very small. It was a fairly small game, but a very detailed game. Yeah. And, I hate to look back at that and think that's what I used to call immersive, but we are talking 1995, 1996, and it was incredible at the time. But, the Karanas and North Row and Khazak Thul and all that stuff felt very, very real. And what made that game interesting was not the world itself as much, and that was interesting, but it was the people that played on your server. And, to this day, I still remember by name, by character name, the people that inhabited our server, the people you would see in zones, the people you would see in chat every day. The game encouraged chatting and interaction rather than, just constant killing. And so you'd often set for a period of times for 20 minutes at a time, recouping, waiting for monsters to spawn, and you would chat with your party, you would chat and all, you'd chat with your guild, you'd get to know people. That was what an MMO was to me. And these days, you play World of Warcraft for 4 hours.
Yeah, I'm like,
and you don't talk to a single fucking person.
Oh, there's other people. Okay, I guess. But then there's games where Guild Wars 2 was more. I mean, you want to see other people, but it was still as passive as you wanted it to be. But it was good to see other characters. WoW was like, oh, other people. Oh yeah, that's right. Other people play this game. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
It's like, fuck, I'm gonna have to.
This is an MMO. I remember.
I'm gonna have to trust some jerkbag to tank. God damn it! I'm gonna have to trust some jerkbag to heal me.
It's like why does an MMO have to have other people in it? Fuck.
Your fucking paladin shows up to heal you. He's wearing cloth and
hello.
I don't know. What's going on? Who the fuck are you? Why are you wearing agility gear? What is going on?
So I could dodge the enemy attacks, of course.
All right. Oh, fuck me, man. Hit me with a hammer. And that's the other thing. I'm becoming increasingly even more of a hermit.
Yeah.
And so like when I log into my PlayStation, I log into my Xbox, I log into World of Warcraft, I know a lot of people want to talk to me. I don't. That's the time I don't want to talk to people.
Well, video
That's
games
just like I
for
just
me
want to
are
be
also
left alone.
it's like me time.
Yeah.
It's like that's why he's like, why don't you stream games, Rags? It's like, because video games are me time. Video games are like Rags time.
Right.
It's time for me to hop up into my chair and just enjoy playing video games. And I play a lot of even multiplayer games. I'll just play them by myself and I'll listen to videos in the background.
Yep, same here. And I do stream for a living. I do Twitch TV. Yep. Mostly I just get up there and make offensive jokes and show my tits and stuff. I hang out in the IRL category more than anything. But when I do play games over there, it tends to be games that I'm just like fucking around on stuff.
Yeah.
I just like, I don't know, I'll play Friday the 13th and just mess around with people. But Friday the 13th is not a game that I would play otherwise unless I have an audience, or a game like PUBG. I wouldn't play that without an audience.
I gotcha.
And so it's funny. My friends will make fun of me because I'll be like, well, I just streamed for 3 hours and I played a video game that whole time. Now to relax, I'm going to go sit down and play a video game, but a different one.
A lot of people don't see it from, our perspective.
Right.
So, I mean, when people are watching you, it changes it changes kind of how you
absolutely
act,
and normally like when I play a video game in front of my TV, I can zone out. When I'm streaming, I'm trying to keep chat in one eye, I'm trying to keep the game in the other eye, I'm trying to make jokes, I'm trying to be entertaining, I'm trying to talk, I'm trying to pay attention to donation messages and trying to thank subs and all that stuff, and then on top of that I have an anxiety disorder, so for the moment I sit down in front of the camera to the moment that I get up and walk away, I'm just at about a 1 or 2 in anxiety. And depending on the night, sometimes it's an 8 or a 9. I've had my fair share of nervous breakdowns on Twitch at this point. And it's just it's exhausting. But then I can go take my shirt off and kick my pants off and sit down on my recliner and just play some stupid fucking game and just not care about the world.
Do you have any games that are kind of like on the horizon that you're kind of looking at? You're like, hey,
I'm hoping they don't fuck up Far Cry 5. Is it 5?
Yeah.
It's got, like I know that game was really controversial a while because people are like, oh, it's a Trump supporter simulator killer or whatever. I'm like, oh, no, it's not going to do that.
Go away. Just fuck off.
That's not a thing.
Not everything is about Trump.
Right. And like with the other part of it, like people are like excited. There are people like, oh, finally a chance to do that. Aren't you the tolerant what are you talking about? I don't understand.
Aren't you nice? You sound like great people.
And I don't know. So anyway, we ended up doing the whole getting through all of that shit, and then we saw the actual game, and now I'm kind of worried it's going to be in the opposite direction. I think it's going to be like heavy-handed, preachy with the other way. And if they don't fuck it up either way like that, one of the worst things I ever got in trouble for. They remade, I think it was Baldur's Gate, which is the one that has Minsk and Boo in it. Do you remember?
I'm not familiar with Baldur's Gate.
All right. Well, they made these old games when I was growing up. It's the Divinity is kind of like a nod to those old games, the Dungeons and Dragons games. One had Minsk and Boo in it as my 2 favorite characters. So whichever one that one is, they remade it recently, and they gave Minsk and Boo some new lines that are like anti-Gamergate lines, which was weird. And then, Baldur's Gate 2, I think is what somebody says in chat. Then they also put in a trans character in the game, and the trans character is
hello, my name is trans.
Right, that's exactly what they did, right? And so I had the opinion of that's a shitty way to do that if you're trying to inspire change. If you're trying to inspire polarization and people getting mad at you, that's a great way to do it. But if you're trying to inspire change, that's a terrible way to do it. I think if you put a trans character in a game, or a diverse character in a game, or even what we're used to seeing, a straight white male character in a game, they have to be there for a reason, and there has to be a good story to tell, and there has to be something interesting about them. And if you do that, then people are like, I don't really give a shit. I normally don't even like trans people. That's not what I'm saying, but that's what some people say. I don't even normally like trans people, but this one's kind of cool.
But they're fine. But this character is okay, so they're all right, I guess.
She's really good at killing elves and stuff, and I think
she kills elves. I kills elves.
Right, but when she's just like, "Hello, I'm a shopkeeper. I am very transsexual," I'm like, "Why?"
It's like, "Oh, okay."
Okay, I don't even know how that's relevant to the story
goodbye.
Right now. Okay, I guess I don't know.
And gamers aren't even receptive to that either, but they do it anyway. It's like, are you not paying attention? Are you not paying attention? It's this strange, unrealistic, all the character is their transness. Like that's all they are. It's like, hello, my name is gay.
Right. And don't get me wrong,
companion.
I've known people in their lives who that's definitely what they wanted to make was their identity. This is definitely who I am. This is definitely what I am. This is definitely what I want to talk about. I'm like, all right, that's cool, man. That's you. But that's the thing. We're not putting normal people in our video games. We're putting fantastic, interesting characters in our video games, right? And so make it fantastic, make it interesting, make it cool, make it plausible, make it fun to play. And then that's what you should do. Poorly written characters, whether they're straight, male, female, trans, gays, black, white, doesn't matter. Poorly written characters do not serve the game. They do not serve the player. They do not serve your agenda. They do not serve anybody. So what's the point?
If you want to have if the idea is that you don't want to have people uncomfortable with deviations from the norm, you can't have that initial deviation. Whether it be their sexuality, their transgender status, all that stuff. You can't have that be their character. That can't be their character. They have to be people first, because all people are people first.
Right.
And when people assume, it's identity politics in video games is what it is, and people don't like that. When I see a character, it's like you warm up to the character and you like them and they're useful and you have them around and you grow a connection to them. Then they say, "Oh, by the way, I'm trans," and then you're like, "Ah, that's fine because we have a connection already." So
perfect example of that, I think, is Borderlands 2. And there's parts of Borderlands 2 that make my asshole pucker because of how cringy they are. But there's parts of Borderlands 2 where I'm just like, oh, this is great. And like, for example, Sir Hammerlock is a perfect example. Hammerlock in that game, eventually, if you do his quest deep enough, he'll send you on a quest to get his ex-boyfriend's corpse. And I'm like, oh, Hammerlock's gay. Neat. I never figured that out. That's neat.
Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna go.
And that's just it.
I'll go
it's
get his
just
corpse
not
for you.
like, by the way, I'm Sir Hammerlock. Did you know that I'm gay?
Right.
Like, no,
and I'm like, that's awesome, dude. Like, that's British cool. Man. And it's not that it bothers me that, like I said, I go into the local gaming store and there's a person there who's very much about that and very much that's their identity. I'm like, oh, that's cool. No big deal.
Okay.
But, I don't give, who gives a shit? That's fine. Hey, I'm Josh. I'm very, very gay. Well, hi, Josh. I'm very fat. How are you doing? I don't know. You want to play Magic or what? I don't know. Or you just want to talk about being gay? That's okay too.
I don't care. I mean, do you want tips? I don't know what you want.
But again, I think probably that's another area I have a more relevant opinion in. It was the fat character in Borderlands 2. A lot of people are like, well, that's a very positive portrayal of a fat person in the game. And I'm like, God, it's really kind of like cringy because of all the body positivity stuff or whatever. And I don't know. It was weird. It just made me feel really uncomfortable all across the board. It just did. I don't know. Like that's Reverend Anthony or what was it? Anthony Birch or whatever. Anthony Birch has me blocked on Twitter, and he's certainly not going to hear this, but that's where he fucked it up bad. That's just where he fucked it up bad. Really, it's just not good. It's just not good. But I like Hammerlock's treatment pretty well.
Well, yeah, it's one of those. It's like a nod to it. A very subtle sort of. Like, by the way, just like we don't want to. Anthony Birch does not have me blocked. So
let's see. Anthony Birch has me blocked. Who's the female comedian everybody loves to hate on? She's not very funny. The blonde girl, a little overweight. What's her name? What the fuck is her name? Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer. She has me blocked on Twitter.
Really?
And Onision has me blocked on Twitter. I think he unblocked me recently. And Dan Harmon has me blocked on Twitter. Isn't that weird?
I have all sorts of people. I'm on
a weird group of people to block me.
What
do those people have in common?
I'm on a list, an alt furry block list, I guess. So
alt furry? Oh, that's funny.
Alt furry, no joke. So I follow some furry characters, and so I'm kind of like on the outside looking into all the drama and stuff. There's a lot of weird like communists and like Nazis in the furry community, I guess. But I'm apparently part of this. I'm on this big block list of people that it's just too dangerous to talk to me, I guess. Well,
that's the thing, and that's the opposite of how I feel every single day. People are so afraid of the dissenting opinions, right? But if you are confident about what you believe, why would you ever be afraid of a dissenting opinion? Yeah, and to be honest with you, statistics show even when somebody is factually wrong, and they are presented with a dissenting opinion, it actually makes them dig in deeper on their wrong thing. If they are factually wrong, not like just, oh, I don't like this certain thing and I don't believe this certain thing should exist, but they're like, water is dry, and you present them with evidence that water is wet, it actually digs them in deeper. So what's the harm? What's the harm in listening to a dissenting opinion?
Well, I mean, it's shocking how many times I have come across somebody who has blocked me and I've never interacted with them, or the second I reply to them, I get blocked. I get blocked and there's no communication, or I quote them and I get blocked, and it really surprises. Well, it doesn't surprise me anymore, but there are people on it's so bad for you to be doing it. I have 0 people on my block list. I don't have anybody blocked. Right. I have people muted. Some people are fucking annoying.
Oh, that's all I do is mute people.
Oh, yeah. I don't have anybody blocked. I would never deny anybody access to my amazing tweets. That's the thing.
And honestly, I think I have like 5 people muted. It's just people who are like just tweeting the same thing, setting up robots, just tweet the same thing every 20 minutes or something like that.
But man, it's like, how sad of a person are you to where you block people that you've never interacted with?
You know, it's funny. Dan Harmon, I made a video, and I think he saw it, and that's why he blocked me. But it's funny because Justin Roiland follows me, and so I got a very brief moment to talk to Justin. I guess Justin discovered me from the H3 podcast or whatever, and so he gave me a follow, and I thanked him for the follow. And then 2 days later, Dan blocked me, and he wrote me. He's like, "Hey man, don't take it personal. That's just how Dan uses Twitter or whatever." And I think basically after researching Dan Harmon, he's a pretty cool guy. But he's like pretty sensitive, I think, is what it comes down to. And so I think he just like he gets real drunk and then grabs Twitter. That's what it seems like. And he's like, yeah, fuck that guy and fuck you and whatever. And then wakes up the next morning, doesn't even remember what he did. So seems to be the case. I love that guy. It's another example of separating the artist from the art, right? Yeah. Like I love Community and all that stuff. I love all of Justin Roiland's older stuff, like the House of Cosby's and stuff like that. Fucking love that crazy, weird shit. And I love all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, I mean, Louis C.K. I think is the biggest example of me trying to separate the artist from the art.
It's gonna be tough. It's kind of tough now.
And I found myself I was like, man, maybe I am the person they accuse me of, because I was like, you know what Louis C.K. did was not great, but at least he asked first. I mean, the world is filled with monsters who like force people to do stuff, but Louis is like, hey, want to watch me jerk off? No, okay, that's all right. I'll leave then. Like I'm like,
that's fair. I mean, that's fair enough.
Shitty,
I guess.
But
I mean, yeah,
it's not as shitty as Harvey Weinstein, right?
Yeah,
you know, I don't know. And I guess it's just because I like Louis, you know, so I'm like making excuses for him or something. I don't fucking know.
There's some people that I know that I've like responded to, and they'll like manually, they'll manually try to block like all my followers. Like some of like JTech TV is a little PlayStation fanboy channel. He goes on and off blocking me, but I think he manually just goes through my follow list and blocks every single one individually, because most people are blocked, but then you'll get every once in a while that one say, hey, I'm not blocked by him. And just the amount of time and dedication it must take some people to sit on Twitter and go through accounts and block them and block them and block them. It must be maddening. I can't imagine the kind of person who's just a sheer amount of time that they spend doing that. Right.
Well, so I feel like what I'm about to say right now might offend a few people listening, but that's the thing. It's fine. You know, and no offense to you guys, I apologize in advance, but a lot of the times the people who do this stuff, who are like obsessed with that or obsessed with the internet culture, even me to some extent, I get overly obsessed with it. There's probably some sort of imbalance there, right? And for me, it's an anxiety disorder and an obsessive compulsive behavior pattern. And so I get obsessed with social media. I get obsessed with people saying to me on Reddit and stuff. And it just it's a bad pattern to get into. And then, but it's generally a sign of imbalance when somebody who's just like that dedicated to something like that. It's generally they probably don't have a real happy life. I don't.
Oh yeah, it's not healthy. It's certainly not healthy to just sit there on social media and just go through accounts. Okay. I mean, I have 30,000 followers or something. Just go block, but one at a time. The sheer dedication it takes to do that must be insane. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I can't imagine. But again, you're talking about people who are just very unhappy, and you're talking about people who are just very probably they're not living a happy life. My life's not that happy right now. It's never been. You know, I still suffer from all the mental shit, and I still suffer from the physical damage that I've done to this body. You know, self-inflicted, but it still sucks. You know, and then you get people with mental issues that are make them obsessive and make them very concerned, and my anxiety disorder leads me towards that. And so I am empathetic and sympathetic to those people to some extent. But at the end of the day, you got to block and move on, right? You know, that's part of being a creator. It's part of interacting with the audience. Some people are going to love you. Some people are going to hate you. Some people are going to love you too much, and some people are going to despise you too much, you know? And it's just part of the deal.
Yeah. Some people, it's weird, though, when you finally get to that point where some people just have this obsessive hate boner for you.
Yeah, God. And
they just follow you around, and they try to hammer you on all the tiniest little slips of the tongue or misspeaks or little semantics things, and you're just like, don't you have a life? Like,
well, I'll tell you, I think the thing about that is, and that's one of the things I like to talk about a lot, is that one of the things I think we have as a responsibility, me, you, Jeremy, Sargon, DeFranco, everybody all the way to the top, right? Yeah. We have to remember that there are people like that watching us. And the people who are like that generally can go overboard. And those are the people who dox you. They hack your YouTube account and they delete it, and they send a box of shit to your house, or they swat you. You know, they're generally, you got to keep in mind when we're talking about stuff, when we're talking about people. You know, there are people on the far left, people on the far right, these fringe people who don't really get it. They don't really understand there are limits to what you could say and do, and that some of this stuff is actually harmful. And so when someone like me makes a video, I guess perfect example, throwing Jeremy under the bus, you forget about the fact that there's going to be some people who see that video, and they're going to take it way too fucking far. They're going to take it way too fucking far. And that's the responsibility and the power we wield. And that's why I deleted my video today. I mean, also because me and Jeremy put it all behind us. But at the same time, you know, and that's something I think a lot of people don't realize. And the more hateful I think you are in the content you create, I think especially this is where I don't like the name calling and the personal attacks as much, is because it kind of feels like to those people it's a license to do that too. Well, he called him a cuck, so I could go ahead and stab him because he's just a stupid cuck. I could stab him because he's a Nazi. That person on social media said he's a fucking white nationalist. I can stab him in his fucking throat. Whoa, no, you can't, dude. No, you can't. You're crazy. You're a crazy person. And you got to realize when you create content, when you report a story on social media, when you write an article at Kotaku, when you make a YouTube video, you're engaging mostly normal, healthy, happy, balanced people. But you also have to keep in mind that there's the occasional fucking lunatic. And I don't think that's a reason to stop making content. I don't think that's a reason to self-censor. Right. I don't think
you understand.
Right. It's just something. So whenever, you know, it's like, for example, I think DeFranco does a really good job of picking his targets. Not all the time. I don't always necessarily agree with how hard he went in on Lacey Green, for example. But maybe she, you know, a lot of people won't share that opinion. But I was just like, wow, that's not like DeFranco, honestly. I think DeFranco does a good job of picking his targets. So when he goes in on a topic, he'll tend to show both sides most of the time. Yeah. But when he goes in on somebody like Daddy05, he just unloads, which is a target who I am okay with unloading.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to. Yeah, it's pretty hard to have a problem with.
Right,
that.
And a lot of people, again, they're going to say, "But Boogie, what about the witch hunt? What about stuff like that?" Well, again, I think sometimes when it's the matter of saving a child's life, I think it's okay to witch hunt. Again, you got to do the facts, you got to do the research yourself, you got to make sure that's what's going on. But once you know, I think it's okay. So.
I mean, a lot of people won't understand that until they, get to a certain point. But It's just one of those things that, I mean, hey, John Lennon was killed by his biggest fan.
Right. Exactly.
So, it just comes with the territory. It's the nature of the beast.
Every time I open up the door, I'm just like, all right, today's the day. I ever tell you my scariest fan story? Do you want to hear it? I don't know if you ever heard it.
Let me know. Sure.
So I am. This is about 2012. So I had not really that big, but I had a couple of virals at that point, and I had like probably in the 50, 60,000 sub era. It was before like PlayStation contacted me, and it was before that fateful E3, I think. And I'm at home. My wife is at work. My roommate's asleep, and she's not even my wife at that point. But there's a doorbell rings, and I get up and I go check the door, and it's this guy who drove up in like a flower van. And he goes, "Hey, Boogie." And I'm like, "Oh, you got a delivery or something?" And he's like, "No, man, I'm here to meet you." And I'm like, "What? Do you know me from like the magic community or something?" And he's like, "No, man, I know you from YouTube." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I didn't have a gun at the time. I have a gun now."
Yeah.
But at the time, all I had was a baseball bat, and I kept that baseball bat next to the door. So I leaned over and grabbed my baseball bat. And then I leaned back over. The door's like partially closed still. And I'm like, all right, dude. So what's your deal? And he goes, well, I was watching your videos, and I'm just like, was relating to him so much. And like, I was like, man, he lives in I saw a video saying you lived in Fayetteville. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just a few miles outside of Fayetteville. And so I tried to check for your name and address, and I found it in like a white pages. And the next thing I knew, I was in the car driving here, feeling like I was doing something crazy and impulsive. And then I was hit your front door, and here I am. And I'm like, what?
Oh.
What? Like, you weren't even in control when you did this? Is that what you're saying? And he's like, yeah, kind of. And I'm like, all right, dude, you gotta go now. And he's like, why? And I'm like, because I memorized the phone number on the side of your truck. Is that a work truck? And it's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I don't want to call your boss to tell him you're doing this. This isn't cool. He's like, but man, we're going to be friends. Like, I just knew we were going to be friends. Like, why are you acting this way? And I'm like, well, the chances of us being friends just went to 0% when you rang this doorbell. Because none of my friends would even do a pop-in. Nobody's welcome to do a pop-in on me, especially during the day when I'm sleeping. You don't do that to me. All right? A friend would know that. And you are coming across as fucking terrifying right now. No, man, I'm not like that. I'm not like that. What are you afraid of, man? Well, I'm not like that. And I'm like, well, go home, send me an email. I'll read the email, and maybe I'll respond to it, but I probably won't. But if you ever want to have a chance of being a friend with me, that's how that's going to start, not by showing up after doxing me. Do you understand? And he's like, I guess, man, but I don't know why you're being like this. I'm like, because there has to be, a wall here, dude. That's not a thing you can do. And he ended up going home, and he wrote me this crazy letter, like no spaces, or not, like no paragraphs, and like run-on sentences, and it just kept going on forever and ever and ever. And it's clear the guy wasn't like healthy, like it's clear he had some problems. And I'm sure that's the thing about me he was relating to, is the mental health and the anxiety and stuff like that. And so I felt like super shitty about it, but it was terrifying. It was just straight up terrifying. Even without an anxiety disorder, that would have been fucking terrifying. That's just not cool. And so I felt guilty about it for the longest time. And then until I went to my first VidCon, and I started talking to other creators, and they've all have a story like that. And they're like, no, you did the right thing. Like, you can't do that. And like the worst part about it is I didn't even realize exactly how careful we really have to be, but you have to be super careful with fans. You can't hire somebody who's a fan of your work. You certainly can't date somebody who's a fan of your work. Mm-hmm. There's like a power dynamic there that's just not like cool. I
mean, people need to understand, this happens with pop stars, and it happens with authors and anybody. It's just, you need to understand that I appreciate my fans. I appreciate the people who watch it. I absolutely do, 100%. Don't doubt it for a second. But I don't know you. And there has to be, it should be understood that I have a personal life and I have a life.
Right.
And I'm an entertainer, and I make stuff. And if you connect with it and you enjoy it, that's great. And I'm glad it does. But man, there's some things that there has to be you have to understand that we don't know each other. You're just, I mean, it's weird to say, but there gets to a point where you have to understand that you're just someone, you're someone in an audience, and I don't know you, and I can't know everybody, and I can't talk to everybody. And in
the right experience, if you see me out in Fayetteville, I'm pretty obvious. Come up and say hi. We'll talk for 5 minutes. I'm going to ask you. I'm not even going to answer any of your questions. I'm going to ask you all about you, because I want to learn about you. I want to learn about what it is that makes you like my stuff. I want to learn about your life. I want to learn your name. I want to learn about you. And I'm so excited to do it. And I'll take a picture with you, and I'll sign whatever you want me to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if I'm at a VidCon, like VidCon or Retropalooza or any of these shows I go to, please come up. Please meet me. Please exchange phone numbers with me. Sometimes I've done that with fans. It's a possibility. I'll have dinner with you if I have the opportunity. I don't give a shit. But my home is my home. Yeah, and that's there's
a line. There's personal space, and I mean, fame is. I mean, to whatever degree you have, fame or notoriety, it's just you have to think of it as if you were in their shoes, especially. I mean, I reply to all my Discord messages and my emails YouTube's a disaster. Don't even try to contact me on YouTube.
It's impossible. Yeah, it's so deeply hidden now. It's impossible to even get to your fucking messages.
Yeah, it's just but I mean, we could be friends online. We could be buds. I can talk to you. I can chat shit. But it's strange when it almost kind of breaks my heart when so many people say, "Hey, let's play a game together." I'm like, oh man, I know. I got so many people to play with, and I could barely hit my friends list as it is, and I don't know you. And
the worst part about it is I neglect everybody in my life, so I'm definitely going to neglect you. Like at the end of the day, I work all day, every day. It's all I think about. Either I'm on social media, or I'm posting on Reddit, or I'm researching stuff, or I'm making a video, or I'm filming, or I'm streaming, or something else. And so at the end of the day, I have like an hour or two a day to myself. That's it. And then. On top of that, even my closest friends, even my closest family members, they're like, "Why don't we ever do anything anymore?" And I'm like, "Because I'm fucking a piece of shit. That's why." And so I know I'm gonna be a piece of shit to you. And everybody's like, they gives me shit because at the end of my videos, I always end it the same way. Guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much. I'll speak with you again soon. You don't love me. No, I don't love you the way I love my dog. I don't love you the way I would a brother or a sister. But I love the idea of you. I love the concept of you. I love you as a fellow human being. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, we're so legitimately appreciative for everything and for watching and just sitting there. And we got just shy of 2,000 people now, and they're, I mean, we honestly very grateful you guys are sitting here just listening to us.
Yeah, it means the world, man. I can't believe it.
You don't have to send us a dime. It doesn't matter. Just the fact you're listening is great, and it gives us an immense sense of satisfaction that people care, and they have an interest in something that you're doing, and it makes it worthwhile. That's why it feels bad to kind of, when you get those messages about, hey, let's be friends, or hey, let's play a game. You're just like, look, I mean, I don't want to hurt your feelings or anything, and I know your heart's in the right place, but we just can't. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you the craziest thing is so there's something I want to talk about, and I know a lot of people want me to talk about, but I can't talk about it right now because I'm being advised by a lot of people in my life who have my best interest in heart, as well as other people's best interest in heart, to stay silent on the topic until everything is sorted out and done.
I got you.
So I can't talk about that topic. I've seen many of you people mention it, but it is a very dark part of my life right now, and I've been having some health trouble. I screwed up my right knee. Recently, during the recovery, my doctor's like, Steve, you can't walk. I don't want you walking until you get the okay. Your back is too bad. Your knees are too bad. You can't walk. But my dog wants to go for a walk, man. I'm going to try to walk him around the block and stuff. And so I ended up getting screwing up my right leg because I didn't listen to my fucking doctor. And so now I'm like less mobile. So I got like some health issues, and I got some personal issues, and then my mental issues are flaring up because of the two. And it's just like a dark time for me right now. It just kind of sucks. But there's been such great strength that has been given to me by this community, by talking with you a little bit yesterday, talking to you a little bit today, talking about talking to like some of my favorite YouTubers and people who've not just fellow creators but have become friends. Even talking to Jeremy a little bit. Even though we're pretty one-sided, he took the time to listen about the miserable shit I'm going through right now, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Like it does suck. Sometimes it can be a real sense of misery, and it has been for the last few days. But it could also be a real source of strength, and it's also been that the last few days. So I've seen a lot of people saying stupid shit to me in chat tonight. Oh, you fucking cook, you cook, you cook.
Some people in chat have
and that's fine. That's cool. That's fine. But there's also been plenty of people like, Bug's based, and Bug's not a bad guy, and Bug, and that, I'm used to the negative stuff. I've heard negative stuff about me since I was 5 years old and was aware of what the English language was. But the positive stuff, that's new for the last 5 or 6 years, and I'm real grateful for it. So that's what I choose to focus on. I try to choose on the focus on the positive stuff. I try to listen to the fair criticism. People are like, I don't know if you're being genuine there, Boogie, or you could have done a better job here, Boogie. Stuff like that. I love that. But when it's you fucking fat cock, kill yourself, fuck you, I just tune that out.
Yeah, it's easy to say across the internet, isn't it? It's easy to type.
Oh no, I mean, the worst part about it is, again, the reason it's doesn't bother me as much. Sometimes it does when it's really loud and it's a lot of people. That's when it gets to me. But when it's just like even just small number of people, even the couple thousand that are in here, if they all turn against me right now, just be like, it's all right. But it's because I've been hearing that shit my whole life. When I spent 7 years as a shut-in once. I barely left the house. I'd go to Walmart at 3 o'clock in the morning to buy food. I hired somebody to do most of my shopping. I ordered most stuff online. I ordered meals in. And I was just ready to die in that apartment. And then one day I decided, I met this girl on MySpace. I signed up for MySpace to meet a girl. I met a girl on MySpace. We ended
MySpace.
up, yeah, it was a good time. Yeah. Talking like 2005. She turned out to be a feeder, if you're familiar with that. It was pretty fucked up. It was some really wild sex. It was fun, but she's a girl who likes big guys and wants to make them bigger. That was how she described it to me.
Oh, I gotcha. I gotcha.
And so we dated for about I think a year and a half, something like that. Moved in for a short period of time. It was very tumultuous, but fun. She really got me out of that house and really got me doing stuff. And like, I went to downtown Memphis for the first time, and my muscles had atrophied, and like I was barely able to do stuff. But she really pushed me to get out in the public and do stuff again. And I just let my anxiety disorder get the better of me and become, I don't know what you call it, where you're afraid to go outside, even almost to that point. But one day she's like, when's the last time you were even in the Walmart? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. And she's like, why don't we go in? They have those mobility carts. I'm like, I'm not going to use one of those. People are going to make fun of me in the fucking thing. And she's like, look, you're literally the person they're for. Your back, your legs, you've ruined them. Fucking use the thing. And I'm like, all right, fuck it. So I went in and I used it, and it went okay. And I was able to shop for the first time in a big store for ages. Mm-hmm. And it was like a gift from God. I was so grateful. I'm like, man, Walmart's going to get the rest of my money forever for this. Thank you for doing that. And then the next time we went, there was this guy on a shitty flip phone filming me. And I turned to look at him, and I'm like, what are you doing, He goes, shut the fuck up, just keep writing, fat boy. I'll send this my friend. Look how big that boy is. Look how big he is, right? And I'm like, oh my God, who acts that way in public? But I mean, I've seen it so many times, so many fucking times. People just openly just spit in your face for being fat. And I get it, I'm fucking huge. I ain't 20 pounds overweight. I ain't 200 pounds overweight. I at that time, I was like 575 pounds, I get it, but at the same time, I'm just so fucking used to it.
It is strange, though. You get a sense of, because I mean, this was just kind of like a little passive background hobby that kind of blossomed for me. But it's strange when you get used to the and I haven't had it very bad. I haven't had it very bad, but you see a lot of stuff online, and you kind of get used to it. Yeah. Which you're like, I shouldn't be used to it. It's like when you watch movies and stuff, you listen to Red Letter Media and stuff, and they see so many movies, so like, I'm just desensitized to people being ripped in half and stuff. And you're like,
right, no shit. Well, I fucking love those guys, man. I fucking love Red Letter.
I just started watching them not too long ago, and I've like binge watched all their stuff. Oh my God, they're great. So I'm gonna find their address in Milwaukee and knock on their door, and I'm gonna tell them they're the biggest fans.
We're supposed to be best friends forever.
Yes, and ever and ever.
Right. Oh man, people. It's a weird business, man. It's a fun business. This is my favorite. I've been doing entrepreneurial shit on the internet since I was real fucking young. I started out by designing like fan websites on Angel Fire and shit, and then one day a dating website offered me $1,000 a month to be on the top of that page, and I'm like, hell yeah. That's real money, man. That's big money. And so I found out there was advertisement on the web, and ever since then, I've been taking advertisers' money since we're talking 1995. And I've been doing it one way or the other, whether it was, creating websites for adult webmasters. I did that for a while. Like I did fucking selling affiliate programs for those guys. I did try to do the Amazon affiliate link things and Google AdSense and doing blogs. I've done it all. And, this whole time I've been doing it. But it just is so weird, man. I would go to the parties that they would throw back at the beginning with the adult webmasters, their parties. They were fucking insane. And even the VidCon parties, man, they could just get bizarre. Just bizarre. Like the House of Blues thing they do every year at VidCon. If you get lucky enough to get invited to that, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. And then you got all the fans, most of which are just fucking fantastic, awesome people. And some of them are in pain and need a little help, and I'm glad to do that. But every once in a while you find Captain Imbalance, and he's like, I'm going to dox this motherfucker. I'm going to spread his name all over that place, and I'm going to see if I can make him afraid in his own home.
People have, they've tried to spread doxes of me, but they've all been, way wrong. And they're not even close. And I'm like, why are you so full of vitriol against me? What have I done that just makes you so upset? Someone you've never met, someone that you don't know, just someone on the internet that makes you so angry you want to do that to them.
Right.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Their life is just not that great right now. You know, that's the thing I think a lot of people don't know about me is that, man, I was on 4chan back before it was bad. And here's the thing, it was never good. But I was there back in the pre-Boxy days. You know, I'm a something awful goon from back in the day. I've been a shitty person on the internet. Not shitty like that. You know, I used to post like pictures of Tub Girl on Christian message boards and stuff. I mean, that's what I would do. I would go into Tiny Chat and just fucking like make fun of cam girls, and not even like in an offensive way. Just be like, "Hey, look how fat I am. Oh, you want to hook up?" Or, you know, that was my idea of trolling. Trolling these days is, "I'm gonna fucking kill you where you sleep, you motherfucker." I don't know what that is. That's just crazy. That's crazy.
Like, people need to understand too that, like, if you come to my house and try to pull some shit, and like, you could seriously get killed. So please don't. Like, I'm not joking around. Like, don't try to pull creepy shit or you might get killed. I just want you to understand this is Arkansas. So for your sake, don't.
You're going to get shot 5 or 6 times trying to get to my house.
I think you need to understand. Like, I once, this is the scariest moment in my life. It happened. It was either really early this year or late last year. But I had delivered some. I called up a pizza place, have them deliver here. I was like, fuck cooking anything. I'm just hungry. And the pizza guy finally got here. And I guess the door wasn't closed right or something. But he like pushed the door open out of nowhere. And I was sitting, because I can see my front door from where I'm sitting right now.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And so I saw the door open, and I'm sitting here at a game. And I've never been so afraid in my life of that happening, because I just saw the door open up. And it wasn't much, but it clearly opened up out of the corner of my eye. And I had my gun pointed at that door so goddamn fast. Yep. I was like, and he fucked up and he made a huge mistake. And I was like, listen here, dude. What you did was so uncool. You have no idea. Yep. Like, because I had yelled out through the door, as they said, it was a pizza guy. It's like, I've never been that more afraid in my life. But I had a gun at the door with my finger on the trigger. I remember I had the fucking Makarov in my hand. It's like, I'll do it. Like, at least looking back, I know that I have the balls to do it. You know?
Prior to the YouTube stuff, I never acted that way, like being that kind of like scared of stuff. But now that I've seen like real crazy, I get it. Like, I'm ready to pull a gun. And I got trained on one, and we own one now, and I know what I'm doing. But that said, but like when I was growing up, and I grew up poor, and I was homeless even at one point. And my friend, who I live with now, my friend Chad, has lived with me for the last 25 years. Even when me and my wife, you know, got married, I'm like, he still lives with us. Is that okay? She's like, absolutely. But you know, he and I, going way back, we had shitty little apartments and shitty parts of town. And I'll never forget, one day I woke up in the middle of the night to go take a piss, and there's just this random Mexican guy sleeping on my couch. And I'm like, what? How? What? Like, how? What? And I walk up to him, and I'm like, I knock on my roommate's door, and I'm like, dude, we need to do something. I was like, what? I'm like, there's a guy in the apartment. And this guy's like, he just got drunk and then opened up my apartment door and saw the couch and then came in and went to sleep.
Yeah.
And so like, we're like poking him with a broomstick, like, dude, you got to go. You got to go. And it's like, he didn't speak very good English, or if in English, any English at all. And so like, I don't know any Spanish. And so I'm like, you got to go, man, get the fuck out of, I don't know, man. Just like poking him with a stick, pointing at the door, and he leaves. And then probably the same apartment a year later, I'm sitting there playing PlayStation 1, and this dude, I turn around, so the door opens.
Yeah.
And that, like, I normally didn't keep the door locked back then. Normally it would just be one of my friends popping in, because I didn't give a shit about that back at the time. It was before I got broken enough to where I wanted to be a shut-in. And I was like, turned around to see who it was, and it was somebody's hand sticking through the door trying to fumble off the lights. And I'm like, can I help you? And it's like, hey, man, I was just trying to use your phone. I said, it looks like you're trying to use my light switch. What are you doing? He goes, no, I'm just trying to find a phone, man. I'm drunk, and my wife, she won't come pick me up because I'm drunk. She's mad I was drinking. And I'm like, well, who are you going to call? He's like, well, I'm going to call my wife. And I'm like, but she's not going to pick you up. Because I got to try. And I'm like, God damn it. So I go in and get my cordless phone, and I hand it to him, and he stands there and calls her, and she screams at him, I can't believe you got drunk. Why aren't you home? You're supposed to be home. You ain't no man. Fuck you. Eat shit. Blow you. Whatever. And then he hangs up the phone, and he's got this look on his face like, God damn it. And he goes, all right, man, I'll get out your hair. I'm sorry. And I'm like, no. where do you live? And he's like, oh, really, man? I live in Springdale. And I'm like, ah, fuck. All right, look, if you kill me and take my car, I'm going to be really butthurt about it, okay? He goes, no, man, I'm not going to hurt you. And I'm like, all right. And I fucking drove him to his shitty house in Springdale. He didn't even thank me. But that's how I handled somebody breaking into my house. You know, talk about cucking yourself. There's me, Cucky McCuckerson. This guy tries to break into my house, and I gave him a fucking ride somewhere. Ugh. And my thought process was, well, if this is how I die, at least I die a good person. You know, at least I die doing a good thing for another person.
I gotcha.
But not anymore. You knock on my fucking door right now, boy.
Like, whoa now.
It got real different.
We are not friends, you and I.
Right,
no.
Right about the time that somebody linked to a hit taken out of me on the Tor network. That was the last time I slept with my door unlocked.
Yeah, I lock my door. Because it's just like instinctive. I don't think I do it because I'm afraid. I'm just like, my hand's there. I just go ahead and lock it. And as I want to, I mean, I live in a fine place, and it's fine. I don't have any problems with anything. You know, the crime's not an issue around here, but still, you know, you just get kind of like, you know, creepy things happen. You never know.
Hey. That's what I like about Northwest Arkansas. It's really nice here. I don't know if you've ever visited up here, but Fayetteville's a college town, so you got to deal with like drunk college kids and stuff. But you know, the football team is pretty big and pretty rowdy. They really kind of run the roost here. Basketball team a little bit too. So I mean, when you ever see one of those guys in town, they're treated like celebrities and shit. There's plenty of decent restaurants. It's smallish city, but you know, there's about 1.2 million in between Bentonville and Fayetteville and everywhere in between. That's nice here. I don't know. It's kind of like open-minded, and people just don't like give a shit. And there's like Trump supporters standing next to like LGBTQ advocates, and they're just like hanging out, and just nobody gives a shit. Everybody's just trying to live. I like it. It kind of reminds me of the country I envisioned growing up. Not a lot of real angry, screamy people, just a lot of people coexisting, and I like that.
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas, it gets a lot of shit, but it's actually a really nice place. It really is. It's big enough to kind of have everything you'd want and need. But it's small enough to where it's not like crazy or insane. Everything's nice and spread out. Everyone's got a car. Everything's within driving distance.
Yeah.
Not too many people, not too few. Great place to grow up. A lot of communities and things like that. But I mean, it really is a nice place. So
somebody in your chat says, do people really do stuff like that to fat people? You got no idea, man. One night I went to Walgreens in the middle of the night. This is one of my favorite stories to tell. Walgreens on North College here in Fayetteville. This used to be 24 hours. I went in there to get some fucking Theraflu, some cold medicine, and some chocolate. And I walk up to the counter, and I throw it on the thing. And I got a chocolate bar. I got fucking cold medicine. I got fucking Theraflu to help clear out my throat and stuff. And so that Dayquil, NyQuil stuff to knock me out. Mm-hmm. And the guy behind the thing goes, how are you doing tonight? I'm like, I'm doing all right, man. A little sick. I said, I bet you see a lot of that around here. And he goes, yeah, I sure do. Not generally self-imposed, though. And I'm like, what? Oy. And he goes, hey, you're pretty fat. And I'm like, what? Like, what the fuck, dude? I don't even understand where that's coming from. Like, who gives a shit? Just check me out like any other dude. I was just, like, making small talk. I don't know. And so, like, I ended up going home, and I called in and asked to talk to the manager. And the manager's like, what happened? And I told him what happened. They're like, well, sir, are you pretty big? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't see why that's any of his fucking business, man. And she's just like, well, you know, I don't know. I don't understand. I've had waiters in restaurants question what I eat, which is reasonable, I guess, you know, if they have the best of intentions. But sometimes if you don't have if the best of intentions is like, I don't know if you really need dessert, man. And is that okay? Like, that's all right. I'm going to be cool with that. There's like, ugh, it's disgusting. Brr, 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 brr. I don't know, that's a whole other thing.
Not too long ago, I had ordered a pizza, and I had given them my address, you know, bring it here. And they couldn't find it. For some reason, they just couldn't find my place. And so, 30 minutes went by, 45 minutes went by, and so I'm like, oh man, that's strange. And I noticed I had missed a call, and I assumed it was from the pizza delivery person. So I answered it back, and sure enough, it was. And I was like, hey, I missed your call about 10 minutes ago. I didn't see it pop up on my phone. And they said, oh yeah, I was supposed to deliver pizza to you. I couldn't find your place. I tried calling, all that stuff. And I just pulled right back up to the to the store. Do you want me to bring your pizza? I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I want you to bring your pizza.
No shit.
And so I gave him the address again, told him how to find it a little better. Just kind of gave him more pointers, I guess. And I was about to hang up, but they didn't hang up. This chick, for some reason, didn't hang up the phone, and she kept it on. I guess you put it on her console or something. And she was bad-mouthing me the whole way. She was bitching, and she was so angry. She was swearing. It's like, motherfucker, I can't find his house. His stupid direction. I can't believe fuck. He's getting so upset, calling me names and shit.
That's fucked up.
I know. And then she finally got here, and I let her know, things about turning her phone off and stuff, and I heard everything she said. And I just gave her that dead stare, took the money, no fucking tip for you piece of shit. And then I called the store, and I got, like, credit for it. I was like, some people are just, it's like, man, just why? You couldn't find my house, so you just start shit talking me and everything and calling me all these nasty names and all that stuff. It's like, ugh.
And for the most part, at the end of the day, man, I just try to fucking, I don't know, I don't want to waste any time on it. Like, that goes to my overall philosophy, right? If you're far right, I don't really care. Be far right. If you want to be far left, be far left. If you want to be a nice person, that's great, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to hang out with you. You want to be an angry person, I don't really want to be around you. That's fine. I can't really handle it. My anxiety's complex, can't handle it. Again, the same goes back to Anita Sarkeesian, but at the same time, it goes to, Alex Jones. I wouldn't want to be around Alex Jones either. Like, oh my God, false equivalency. Boogie's doing a false equivalency, everybody. But somebody's like really opinionated, really pissed off about stuff, really angry. It's just not copacetic with my lifestyle.
I think most people, their hearts are in the right place. I think that even when it comes to Nazis and communists and stuff like that, I think they truly believe they're doing what's right. They believe they're doing what's best. And if you come at them from the, I don't know. I think that ultimately that's how most people are, and that's how most people act. It's when they kind of, it's so different when you think that they're doing it for the wrong reasons. Like, it's almost like, I don't even know. It's like the reasons people do things nowadays. Right. It's so important to understand why. And once you get to the point where you think they're doing it for the wrong reasons, it's like, let slip the dogs of war. And
that's where we get into like the philosophical debate, and that's never ending. But I'll tell you some of the things that I've learned in my life that's a cornerstone of my thought processes. Like Freud once said that we think of others in terms of ourselves. That's not exactly what he said. That's a paraphrase, but basically what he's saying is that we think of the world in terms of our own experiences, right? So one of the reasons people like me tend to either be so passive or so aggressive based on the shit that happened to us is we see it through the eyes of an abused child for the rest of our lives, right? And so a lot of people can be very abusive because of that. There's been periods of my life I certainly was not polite to everybody around me. Mm-hmm. And, there's people like me who are very passive because I can't handle it. I don't want to do it. But that's Freudian Psychology 101. Whatever you've experienced, you see everybody else's situation through your experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that sucks, because it's very difficult to see things from another person's perspective. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and it's still always going to be tainted by what you've experienced. So that's one of the biggest issues that we face.
I know, especially with me, I think, like with me, what you just said, I'm pretty tough as nails in that regard. Few things bug me and get me riled up, and I'm really, really, I think I have a really, really thick skin and things just don't bother me. So sometimes I feel like when I respond to somebody, I could be a little bit too, harsh and brash. And then I say it, and then I go back and I'm like, man, I feel like shit. I shouldn't have said that.
I used to have really thick skin, and I think I've said recently, a lot of people disagree. I think I'm still fairly strong these days because I can survive this shit. I think that's where the strength comes from, and I think the other strength is the ability to shrug it off to the most part.
Yeah.
But these days, like, I am so fucking weak to this shit. It sucks sometimes. I'm just exhausted from it. I'm just tired of it. And like, since everything else with the health and the other stuff is not going the way I wanted it to, I'm still losing weight and I'm down 120 pounds, but it's so fucking painful, man.
Which is great.
Right. But I'm just so much fucking physical pain and everything else is just going fucking wrong. I end up in this situation where, I don't know, like sometimes I turn to the internet for the positivity, and the negativity gets in the way. But the other thing, beyond looking at things in terms of your own experiences, the other thing that we always forget is nobody thinks they're the bad guy, right? Like Hitler, maybe
Hitler
thought
he was a good guy. Hitler thought he was. I mean, Hitler had a code of ethics, and he followed them. Right. And he thought he was a good guy. And Stalin, I'm sure a lot of these guys, no one thinks that they're the villain of their story. No one does. Perspective
is 9/10 of reality, and whatever your perspective is, that's one of the reasons it's so important to look at both perspectives. It's why I present both perspectives. I don't always do it well, and I understand that, but that's why I try to present both perspectives. The problem is most people can't see things from the other perspective. They get very upset. They get pissed off. How dare you show the other perspective? That's not my perspective. I'm pissed off. And I don't know. It's crazy. But at the end of the day, the mass majority of people get it. The mass majority of people understand what I'm trying to do. The mass majority, and that's who you create content for, right? Is the masses, right?
Yeah.
You can't worry.
You can't please everybody, and if you try to, no one will buy your game. So there we go.
And I will say at the end of the day that I really, really worry about the crazy people and how I affect them. And so I try to be very responsible, and I try to encourage other creators to be responsible too. You got to keep in mind there's a few lunatics watching what you do, and you got to be real careful. It's the same way, I think it's okay at the beginning of those commercials. Do not replicate this at home. I think that's for the crazy people. And that's what I'll say about everything else. But I don't know. At the end of the day, I think people are genuinely good.
I think so too.
And the best part about it is I've embraced my nihilism since I was 15 years old. And so it doesn't really matter. I know when I die, I'm going back to where I was before I was born, which is nothing. And I'm just excited about that. I don't even fear it anymore. I'm afraid there might be a hell or an afterlife. That's what I'm afraid of. But if there's nothing else, that just sounds so great. And I'm so excited to get there.
People. We don't have to worry about that's always the thing that's we don't have to get into the religion thing, but I mean I think we're pretty good people. And I think that ultimately we're doing a lot more good than bad.
Right. I see a lot of people. The thing that I'm forbidden to talk about right now. I see a lot of people taking their guesses, and some are way off, and some are real close. So it's interesting to see. But we'll talk about that when I get a chance. That said, man, I got to wrap this up. My dog is wanting out, and I've been here for 2.5 hours. My back's starting to kill me.
This dog is wanting out too. I'm getting kind of hungry. So I'll say adieu to you. You can go and do everything you need to do, and I'll read my super chats and talk about some stuff with them. And,
real quick to the audience, I'm sure you guys know where to find me on YouTube. I also do Twitch TV every so often. You're going to come there and call me a cuck or watch me cuck myself over there on YouTube on a daily basis. Feel free to stop in and check it out. Guys, thanks for hearing me out. It doesn't matter if you agree with me or not. I'm just grateful you took the time to listen. So you guys have a great day. Rags, always a pleasure, man. This is your second time talking on Skype, and I've really enjoyed it. First time publicly. It's been a blast. Thanks for having me on, man.
I really appreciate it. I thought this was a great talk. I think it's fantastic.
Me too. Thank you, buddy. I'll talk with you soon.
See you later. Doink. And Boogie has left the building. It's 2012, so we're using Skype. So that's what we're doing. Boogie's a good guy. I like Boogie a great bit. I like Jeremy. I like Boogie. I like gosh, I like a lot of things. But that was good. That was a good chat. I really, really enjoyed that. Let me go through some of these super chats, guys. I've read them all. I read every single one as they went through. So do not think that I didn't read them. I did, but I'll put them out here in the stream. Thank you, everybody. We'll start at the beginning, and we will work ourselves to the most recent time. One Rad Honey Badger gave $5. Thank you very much. Michael L gave $2. Hashtag Save Net Neutrality. He says, my next video is actually going to be, because people have been asking me for a net neutrality video, and I think I should do one, and I found a great video by Red Pill Philosophy that I'm going to be responding to. The reason I haven't had content in the last while is because work has been crazy. We have been down a number of people. I haven't been getting my days off. Work has been very busy because where I work, if someone's not there, the others have to pick up the slack. So I have been crazy busy, and I get home, and woof, my sleep schedule has been terrible. But we have got some new hires in. We're properly staffed. We got the help we need. So things should return to fairly normal. And I should hopefully get a video out tomorrow or the next day now that all that work stuff's done. I just want to thank you guys for putting up with my lack of content and stuff. I'm busy. Now chasing my tail and playing fetch. Oof, it's a dog's life. Jacob Lintz gave $5. We'll never forget getting stuck in Bald Knob, Arkansas for 34 hours. Man, if you guys have never been out to the country, Arkansas is a place where there is just little towns and there's 100 people and it's like a time warp. There are some little towns in Arkansas where it's just like a time warp, where you feel like you're going back 60, 70 years, I swear. Old buildings and old tractors and machinery and granaries, and it's like going back in time, man. Spawn Freak gave $5. Boogie is Francis retired forever. A lot of us miss him. You have to ask him about that on Twitter or something. I don't know too much about all that. Gilly. Hey, Gilly. Hello. Again, $5. My friend plays Destiny 2 way too much. Can you insult him for me? He's going to watch this later, so lay into him. Look, Destiny 2, I want Destiny 2 to be good. I really do. Every once in a while, I'll probably pop in, play for an hour or so, get off, do a strike, get in, get out, play a little bit. I want it to be good. I want it to get good, but oof, I don't know. Bungie has not been giving me the hopeful vibes recently. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll be optimistic because it's not a terrible game. It's not bad. It's just like, it's so meh. It's so meh. The epitome of meh. Fringy123, he did a great video on Destiny 2 that you guys should check out. Monsieur Wasty, $2. Here's some fun bucks for the handsome doggo. Thank you very much, Monsieur. Let me see. Spawn Freak, $5. For the record, Boogie, yeah, we weren't mad at you because you were respectful to Anita. We were mad because she was abusive to you and you apologized. I remember reading that. And I think ultimately that kind of encapsulates it fairly well. First, and I wasn't trying to be confrontational with Boogie. I think he's at a rough part in his life right now. He's got a lot going on, and I think he's genuinely a really good guy and his heart's in the right place. And he's just different from me. And I think that originally I didn't quite grasp that. But I count him amongst my friends. I really do. He's a great guy. He really is. I think his heart's definitely in the right place. And I cannot say that about a lot of the people that I meet on the internet. So that means a great deal. First in, last Kappa. Hey, Boogie, what is going on between you and the quartering? Well, I think we talked about that a little bit. But thanks very much for the $5 first in. Quartering, 1776. No drama. Pretty sure everyone should just blindly subscribe to my channel for the Boogie v Quartering Jello fight, though. And as I said before, I will definitely watch that. Game Hoofster Pony. Gamer Hoofster Pony. $5. Love you, Rags. Well, I think of us as more as friends, honestly. But thank you for the $5. Carl Foltz gave $5 too, so thank you very much, Carl, for that. I do appreciate it. The quartering, $14.88. Of course, yes, it's really me. I did check. I checked the channel to see if it was used to make sure. Carl Foltz, $2. An app road monies. There we go. ANCAP road monies. You better make sure you got it. Tacoon 513, $5. Hey, Rags and Boogie, love both your work. Just stopping in to say hi and support you, lovely biological creatures. Keep it, well, allegedly. Keep up the good work. Witch whack. When I was younger, like in high school, like I had a nightmare where I like suffered a grisly injury and I could see through my like broken skin and it was like robots and like circuits and stuff. It just stuck with me for some reason, but I don't know. That just has always stuck with me. Some things just stick with you and they won't go away. ASAP Trappy gave $5. Rags, I'm a big fan. You're a big part of the reason I joined the PC platform. Well, I'm glad I am, and I hope I'm hoping that you really enjoy your PC experience just like I am. Carl Foltz, $2. Rhodes, he says. Eon, I guess is how you pronounce it. Eon M. Harrow, $5. There will always be those out for themselves. All you can do, if you are a decent person or dog, is be able to do what will help you sleep at night. And there's a lot of truth to that. At the end of the day, you can step away from the internet, you can pull the plug, you can shut it all down, you can walk away. But when you're laying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling in the darkness, ultimately it is just you and your thoughts. And if you don't come to terms with that, and if you have those kind of conflicts, then, that stuff eats away at you. And it's very important that you can, you could go to bed each night with some level of catharsis. It's very, very important. Carl Foltz gave $1 more. Thank you very much. And here we go with Philly D. Philip DeFranco, $5. Love you, Boogie, but only a little. Get a big head about it. Heart. Thanks very much, Philly D, if you're still watching. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Great channel, by the way. I really appreciate a lot of the stuff that you do. And Boogie was right. Philly, he was really right when he said you do a good job at the way you present information. I think even I'm not perfect. Lord knows I'm trying to get better whenever I can, but taking off the glasses, stop looking through the lens, get an objective look, see both sides. I think the way that you do that is something that a lot of us can profit from. A lot of it, not like that, but a lot of us can learn from. So thanks very much for the $5. Carl Foltz, $2 more. Fill us in on the recap of the stream, Mr. D. Ha, ha, ha. Aren't you clever? Mr. LMG. Hello, Mr. LMG. I saw you once again. Good to see you again. 50 more Australian dongers. Can't stay long. Hope you two have a good on. And we did. I think we really did. It's a good chat with Boogie. I look forward to seeing him soon. And he only lives like 2.5 hours away from me, so who knows? Maybe we'll meet up. Have lunch, talk about stuff. Dirty Tyrone, $5. Digging the convo, boys. Thanks much, Dirty Tyrone. I'm digging the $5. Thank you, thank you. Weeb, $5. Talk about video games, you fuck boys. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. We got caught up. We get caught up with things and just tangents. And we talk about this and that. There's so much to talk about. We could have talked for hours, but well, someone's got to let the dog out. Eon M. Harrow, $15. Thanks very much for the $15. Hashtag fags against Antifa. Get it trending, folks. Thank you very much, Eon, for the $15. And the stuff you said before, thank you. Chrono Atog, $10 Canadian. Sweet. Very polite money. I actually have a Canadian $10 bill in my wallet. It's like purple, and it's plastic and see-through and stuff. It's very nifty. Mike set phasers to straight pence. I know when I play PUBG, we call it the Mike Pence Wall of Death. The memes, the Mike Pence memes. Dirty Tyrone, $5 more. Hashtag Russian airport. Remember, no Russian. That's the thing, though. Is like, I'll gun people down in the airport, and I don't give a fuck. But you tell me to shoot a dog in a video game, and not happening. Because there's an innocence that we attribute to animals, especially dogs. They're loyal and they love you, and they only have, animals. They can only understand things to a certain capacity, and you don't want to, you almost feel like you're betraying nature itself when you harm an animal like that. People who fuck around with animals and hurt animals, those are bad people. Bathroom sink, $2 from New Zealand. I'm guessing NZ. One man, one jar. Let's not talk about one man, one jar, but thanks for the $2. The Big Dog Agent 007 gave $5. What do you think about Dean Hall's new game that is entering early access in 7 days? Also, hi, Dean Hall. Now, that is a name I have not heard in a long, long time. We're on the verge of the DayZ beta, too. Speaking of Dean Hall, I know he left Bohemia. But yeah, Dean's got his project going. I don't know too much about it, but I want to take a look because Dean has a vision, and I hope that he's able to pull it all together. I think it'll be better for everybody. One Rad Honey Badger gave $2. Who has more fanfics, Boogie or Rags? I don't know. Boogie's had more time than me, but people do love the doggo. And not all the fanfics I've got are safe for streaming. I'll say that. JC, $5. Love you, Pappy. Love you too, JC. Well, I mean like in a platonic sort of way. Like a brotherly love. We'll call it that. Eon M. Harrow with $20. Damn, thank you, Eon. You're really putting out. I love me a sub who will put out. As someone who wants to be a published writer, I think no subject should be forbidden, whether it be murder, rape, child abuse, etc. We must talk about such things in storytelling. It's what makes us understand them. And you're absolutely right. If you put distance between them, if you don't portray them, they become almost mysticized, They become, I don't know what's a good way to say it. you know, the forbidden fruit's the sweetest, but it's like the negative version of that, where things can be so awful if you never see them or understand them, then how could you possibly relate to them? Or it's strange. It's very strange. For familiarizing yourself with bad things, you'd think you shouldn't have to do it, but, you know, if you aren't familiar with it, then when it does happen, it can hit you like a sack of bricks instead of a sack of feathers. But thanks again, Aeon. One Rad Honey Badger, $10 more. Thank you very much again. Should there be an age restriction in loot boxes in any game? And should there be a protected limit to protect against addiction? I think gambling hotline mentions, same as it is on commercials and such, would be fine in terms of the second part of that question. In terms of the first, should there be an age restriction in loot boxes in any games? There should, but it's a matter of enforcing. How do you enforce that? It should be prominently displayed, and ultimately it should be up to parents to watch what their kids are doing. If you're old enough to where you don't need a parent, that's one thing, but ultimately the idea is that a parent should monitor what their children do. They shouldn't use video games as a babysitting tool, and I've seen that and the effects that it can have, and it's not optimal. But at the same time, I'm also very afraid of overreaching and too draconian a measure to combat it. Ultimately, parents need to be responsible for what their kids do. As for the age limit itself, if you're old enough to vote, you're old enough to buy a loot box. All right? If you've got money for it, go for it. If you can own a bank account, if you're an adult, up to you. Up to you. That's for real world money, of course. In-game currency. Hell, let an infant do that. It's not even real money. Matthew Carr gave $5, and he gave me emojis. I don't know what to do with those. But thank you very much. And thank you for the $5, Matthew. I appreciate that. Nostalgia Trip 1 gave $5 to both Anime List to Watch, Log Horizon, JoJo's... Here, let me screen cap this and just save it. It's quicker than copying and pasting, if that makes any sense. Light Shot is your friend, isn't it? Log Horizon, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, One Punch Man. I've heard a lot of good stuff about One Punch Man. Dragon Ball Super, Steins Gate, Death Parade, and Konosuba. So, okay, I saved that here. I've got it open in Paint, so I'll take a look at those later. No promises. I don't watch a lot of TV. Normally, I watch like YouTube videos and stuff, listen to lectures while I'm playing games. I multitask a lot, but maybe I'll check them out. Thanks much. Monsieur Wasty, again, with $2 more. There's gambling poker games on console, sadly. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Gambling and poker, it's fun. I mean, I've been to, I almost called it New Vegas. Can you tell I went another New Vegas game? But I've been to Las Vegas, fabulous Las Vegas. To all those places. I've been on the floor, and I've smelled the smoke, and I've sat down and at the tables that I've played, and it's a great feeling, man. It's a great feeling. I actually made money. I actually walked away with more money than I started with. And once I got about $14 ahead of what I started out with, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. We're done. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with poker games and console. By the way, go to Vegas if you guys haven't been. It's a great experience. But don't sell your car for gambling money, please. Chrono Atog, $5 Canadian. Get a Steam Link, Boogie. I'll let him know that. I'll give him a message that he should get a Steam Link, or at least look into it. But honestly, I think he knows about Steam Link. He's probably got that on the brain. Let me see. JKB Scopes 123, $10. I guess that's Australian. Thank you very much. I have a day off school. Found World at War for my 360 at EB Games, the Aussie version of GameStop. We used to have EB Games here, actually. We used to. And Rags is streaming. Could this day get any better? Also, Bethesda should remaster Morrowind. Yeah, sure, absolutely. I think it still runs. Let me see if it's on Steam. I don't even know if it is on Steam. Let me check. Because I never actually played Morrowind. I know my brother did. Store... Yeah, the Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind. Oh, here it is. The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. 97% positive. Man, that looks ancient compared to, you know, what we see now. But, wow, look at that. Maybe I'll do that and stream it or something. I don't know. Wow, that looks ancient. I'll give it a shot, maybe. What time? That game came out in 2002. That is a 15-year-old game. Oh, boy. But thanks for the recommendation. Sam Stringer, $10. Love the content, Rags. Thank you for introducing me to PC gaming. This and being a Patreon supporter is the least I could do to give back. Thank you very much, Sam, for the $10 here and for the Patreon support. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Sam. Jacob Lins, $5. Being from small town Montana, I want Far Cry 5 to be great. I agree. I want it to be really good, too. I want it to be a fantastic game. I liked Far Cry 2 and 3 and 4, and I want 5 to be fantastic. B3NJ, $2. Did JTech TV block you, Boogie? I'll ask him and see if JTech TV has blocked him. And then he gave $2 more and said, Rags, tell Boogie about JTech TV. I dare you. I saw that, and I did bring it up. So thanks very much, B3. Cage Minowara, or is that Kage? I don't know. I'm not enough of a weeb. $5 Canadian. Speaking of identity politics being shoehorned into games, what do you think about Wolfenstein: The New Colossus? Also, Rags, I really like your vids. Well, he hasn't played The New Colossus. I have. It's a good game. Honestly, I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't have a problem with any of that SJW stuff people say they were seeing. I didn't have much of an issue with it. Maybe I just ignored it. But I didn't really have much of a problem with it. If you think you're going to have a problem, I say go fearlessly into the game. It didn't bug me. I didn't even really notice it. And when people bring it up, I would have to ask them what specifically they meant, what part of the game in particular they were referring to. But The New Colossus is a good game. It's not as good as The New Order. Get it on sale if you can, because it is too short for $60. Too short. Silsky, $10 Canadian. Big fan of both you guys. Keep YouTube awesome. We shall. Into perpetuity if we can. Captain Placeholder, $2 Canadian. Rags is sexy doggo, and you are correct. I am. Burbling Barbacoa, $20 Australian. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Here, have some strange Australian money. Enjoying the live stream, waking and baking to it. Love both your content. I thought this said wanking and baking, and I was like, well, fair enough. Thanks very much, Burbling. Thanks for the $20. Sean Matheny. Oh, let me scroll up here. Sean Matheny, thanks for making my workday go by a little faster. Happy to distract you from the job you get paid for, Sean. Thank you very much for $5. Lord Grizzly Bear gave $5. This has been a great stream so far. Keep going strong, guys. Boogie, I'm rooting for you, and Rags, thanks for the great content. I'm rooting for Boogie as well. I really hope things work out for him and all the drama, and I hope it dies down, and I hope he does okay. But thanks very much, Lord Grizzly Bear. Chronoatog, $5 Canadian. Again, I'm sorry, the correct religion was Mormonism. We're all going to hell, guys. Well, you can't win them all, I guess. Tacoon, $5.13 once more with $5. One more time to ask a question I've always found interesting. What happens if you kind of fall off the YouTube platform? If you lose subs and so on? I guess you just go about your life as you did before. You just go to do something else, I suppose, or you start over. I don't really know. I assume you just kind of find something else to do to fill your time with. I'm not certain. Thanks, Tacoon. Brendan Stubbs, $2. What has your favorite mean being so far this year? What has your favorite mean being so far this year? I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry. Thanks for the $2, Brendan, but I don't know what you're saying. $2 from Lord Jabba Jabba. You versus a real dog. Who wins? We all wins. We all win. Everyone wins. We're all winners. Especially me. I'm the biggest winner, but we all win. Necro13, $2. I've grown my channel since we last spoke. Thank you. Oh, that's good. Let's see. Let me actually go to your channel. Check it out. Yeah, there you go. Uploads. Come on, Kotaku. Let's hate Lolly's edition.
Season 3. There's a lot of...
I gotcha. Excellent. I got thanks. The Flamer Gamer 3, $15. Love you guys. Can't wait to see more videos, Rags. Do you think Anthem will survive? Ooh. Anthem is one of those games that I'm just so unexcited for. I can't possibly, in our language, express the depths of my apathy for. I don't care about Anthem. As more comes out, maybe I'll get more interest, but right now, I just don't care about Anthem, honestly. I just don't. We're at the point in video games now where you shouldn't get excited over this stuff, and ideas are just, wait until it comes out. Please wait until it comes out before you throw any money anywhere, all right? Just wait and see, all right? Just wait and see. But thanks very much for the $15, Flamer Gamer 3. Jacob Lintz, again, $2. Shinsekai Yori is a great and deep anime. Maybe. Captain Placeholder, $5 Canadian. Again. Could hear you talk all day, Rags. What's your opinion on Assassin's Creed Origins? It's good. I like it. Assassin's Creed Origins is a game that I'm really enjoying. And I mean that. I really am. I'm really liking Assassin's Creed Origins. And I will play it and I will finish it. Let me see how much time I've actually got in it. Up at the top. 9 hours so far. And it's been good. I like it. I like Assassin's Creed Origins, and I have been pretty lukewarm about the last few Assassin's Creed games, but Origins I'm really digging. So, let me see how it's doing on Steam. Boop-doo, enter my birthday, ba-ba-ba. Very positive, 86% positive. Fair enough. It's a good game. It's a good game. You should take a look. I'll do a video on it. I'll end up doing a video on it before the year's up, because I think it's a good game. I think it deserves attention. $2 from Queen of Bants. Walking Dead Chapter 2. Do you put dog out of its misery? I never played Walking Dead Chapter 2, so I couldn't say for certain. But that is the end of the super chats. Shooting dogs is not cool. If you couldn't guess. But man, thanks very much for the super chats, guys. Let me scroll on back to the chat here. But man, I really appreciate you guys for listening to Boogie and I. Thanks very much for the super chats. I was reading the chat pretty much the whole time as we were talking, so don't feel like your messages are wasted, even if I didn't directly address them. Thanks again for dropping by. Let's see, Husker. I'm guessing he means your favorite meme. Oh yeah, Brendan. Maybe that is what he means. What's your favorite meme being so far this year? I really dig the Transcendence memes. I really dig those, where like the expanding brain memes. I really like those. And it was big on Imgur. I don't know if it got big everywhere else, but the Cocoam GIFs, I don't know if that's from this year or last year, but the Cocoam GIFs that they put together were the funniest damn things I've ever seen in my life. So the Cocoam GIFs and the expanding brain memes are really, really good. Also, the boyfriend who's looking at the girl while his girlfriend's next to him, those memes. I don't know the name of these memes, but those are really good too. I really like those memes as well. I really, really like those. Those are really good. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for stopping on by, and again, thanks very much for the super chats. I will see you later. So, toodaloos.